Chapter 38. The family of three was filled with warmth and warmth. Even a simple meal made them feel so happy. Lin Feng looked at his mother, Jiru Hua, and asked softly, "Mom, how much money is left from Big Brother?" "There's still a lot. Don't worry," Jiru Hua said softly. "Okay," Lin Feng replied softly and nodded. He couldn't see anything strange from his mother's expression, but he knew that there wasn't much money left in the house. The number of dishes had obviously decreased. His sister was still young and didn't understand. Although he knew about it in the past, he couldn't do anything about it. But it was different now. It was time for the 18-year-old him to shoulder the responsibility of the entire family. "Are you preparing to enter the wilderness this time?" Ji Ruhua asked with a smile. Lin Feng was surprised. Ji Ruhua had an as-expected expression. She rolled her eyes at Lin Feng and said, "No one knows their son better than their mother. Although you and John have very different personalities, one is like fire and the other is like water, deep down, you are very similar. You have ambition, desire to become stronger, and desire challenges. However, Jean is naturally bold and unrestrained. Feng, you are calm and wise. You know how to suppress your desires. However, a dragon will always be a dragon. How can it be content with being ordinary?" Ji Ruhua paused, seeming to have something on her mind. She looked at him with her beautiful eyes and asked, "All right, Feng, have you mastered the second level of the 9-dragon scripture?" Lin Feng nodded and said with a frown, "I guess. I barely comprehended it." Ji Ruhua looked pensive. "How long did it take?" Lin Feng smiled bitterly. "A full 12 hours. Compared to the first level of the 9-dragon scripture, the second level took more than 10 times longer. Moreover, after comprehending the first level of the 9-dragon scripture, it was smooth and could even be used directly. However, after 12 hours, he could barely use the second level of the 9-dragon scripture." Wow, Ji Ruhua's eyes lit up. She was overjoyed. "If he can comprehend it in 12 hours, I believe, Feng, I will be able to use it proficiently in around 48 hours. Although you can't compare to the 4 great masters of the Ji family, you are not inferior to the heroes of the Ji family's ancestors. You can be called a genius." Ji Ruhua was very satisfied. Once might be a coincidence, but twice in a row was naturally not a coincidence. However, what Ji Ruhua didn't know was that the difference between Lin Feng's barely comprehending and the barely comprehending she knew was a huge difference. Judging by Ji Ruhua's standards, Lin Feng didn't spend 12 hours, but in just 3 hours. After bidding farewell to his mother, Lin Feng left with Yu. Back then, his younger sister, Yu, had been abducted by the Condor Gang midway, causing her to be unable to participate in the annual Mind Expanse test. He naturally had to make up for it. It was time for his 12-year-old sister to receive formal training and become a Geno warrior. However, as soon as he went downstairs, there was an obstruction. Big Brother, Yu tugged at Lin Feng's arm worriedly. Lin Feng's gaze landed in front of him. He couldn't be more familiar with the beautiful figure in a white dress. Looking at this pair of watery eyes, it was as if he had returned to the past, to the innocent era, the ignorant age, the age when love was first awakened. It was her. Actually, when he came back, he had already sensed her presence. "It's okay. Wait for me for a while." Lin Feng patted his sister's head lovingly and walked towards Wang Qian. There was no need to drag things out when it came to relationships. "Are you okay?" Wang Qian lowered her head and bit her lip. "I'm fine." Lin Feng smiled. "How about you?" Wang Qian choked as 2 streams of tears flowed down her cheeks. "I'm sorry, Afeng. I'm really sorry. It's all in the past." Lin Feng handed her a tissue. "Wipe your tears." "No." Wang Qian's soft, jade-like hands grabbed onto Lin Feng. She raised her head, and sparkling tears fell from her eyes. "Listen to my explanation. Afeng, the one I like is you. Really, I swear to the heavens. But, Sherwin Long threatened me. He said that if I didn't obey him, he would get someone to do that to me and disfigure me. It's true, Afeng. My feelings for you have never changed." Looking at Wang Qian, Lin Feng's eyes were a little blurred. In the past, she was so innocent. But now, she had completely sunk into this secular world. interests, and lies. She had really grown up. Was it her fault? Never. This world was so cruel and realistic. At that time, she had actually made the right decision. Because she had become a useless person. How many people would really stay by her side? Offing. Wang Qian hugged Lin Feng tightly and sobbed. I was wrong. I was really wrong. I miss you so much. I've always been thinking about you. Give me another chance, okay? I swear I'll treat you better. Let's be like before, okay? Wang Qian's big watery eyes were filled with pity as she looked at Lin Feng. She was so lonely and helpless. You didn't do anything wrong. Lin Feng gently wiped away Wang Qian's tears, but shook his head. But forgive me for not being able to accept it. Some people, if you miss them, you miss them. I'm sorry today. I'm the one who gave up on you. Lin Feng smiled, but there was no longer any familiarity in his smile. This first love had already come to an end in his heart. Whoosh! The magnetic hover car broke through the air at an extremely fast speed. Wow, that's great, brother. Yu excitedly leaned against the window and looked down, her face full of joy. Do you like it? Lin Feng smiled. High-spec Volkswagen C7. I love it. Yu's eyes lit up. She clenched her little fists and was full of pride. Xiaofang and Pang Pang are so envious. In Xiaolong, he used to laugh at our family for not being able to afford a magnetic hover car. Now it's my turn to laugh at him. Looking at his younger sister's happy smile, Lin Feng felt warmth in his heart. If you like it, then it's yours. Yu's mouth opened into an O shape. She was instantly overjoyed. Really? Brother, really? Even pearls aren't that real. Lin Feng smiled, his eyes filled with doting love. To him, the magnetic hover car wasn't that important, especially when he was about to enter the wilderness. The high-spec Volkswagen C7's defense wasn't bad, and it was also protected by electricity. If he had a high-spec Volkswagen C7 as his mode of transportation, the Vulture gang wouldn't have been able to kidnap his younger sister. Although he would become an ancient martial artist very soon, and his younger sister would be protected by the academy, but it was always good to have an additional layer of protection. Lin Feng brought his younger sister to the Jiaoyang District's Elementary Genetic Academy. Returning to the academy, he felt as if it had been a lifetime. After experiencing the influence of the Battle Academy, the Jiaoyang District's Elementary Genetic Academy now looked so plain. Familiar with the place, Lin Feng stepped onto the hover stairs and headed toward the Brain Expanse Testing Center. Swoosh! The door opened. Lin Feng stepped in. Beside him was a slightly nervous Yu. Wu Qi, 16 years old, Brain Expanse 7. 33%, Grade 6. The instructor's voice was still cold. Many people were lined up in a row, and they were going through the Brain Expanse testing in an orderly manner. As Lin Feng entered, many gazes focused on him. It was very familiar. Lin Feng's eyes flickered. He felt as if he had returned to 3 months ago. Back then, he had obtained the title of Grade 10 Genius because of his 5.0% Brain Expanse Testing Center. There were all sorts of sneers, mockery, and gloating discussions in the surroundings. The instructor's expression was one of contempt and disdain. The scenes of the past were still as clear as a painting. Lin Feng, the instructor in charge of the test, widened his eyes and stood up. Hello, instructor. Lin Feng smiled and nodded. Hello. The instructor's cold expression instantly melted like ice. I heard that Lin Feng not only entered the Combat Academy, but also received special benefits. Our academy's instructors and instructors are very happy for you. Thank you. Lin Feng smiled. The academy was naturally proud of a student's fame. Lin Feng, your future is bright. Perhaps in a few years, our Jiaoyang district will have another genetic battle general. When that time comes, don't forget about the academy's nurturing. The instructor smiled. Of course. Lin Feng nodded. Even when he fell to the bottom, the academy did not abandon him. He would always remember this kindness in his heart. By the way, Lin Feng, why are you here this time? The instructor asked curiously. He glanced at the timid Yu beside Lin Feng. My younger sister, Yu Lin. Lin Feng introduced. It's like this. My younger sister just turned 12 this year. She was supposed to undergo the Brain Expanse test, but due to some unpredictable accidents, it was delayed. I hope the Academy can make an exception and let my younger sister take the test again. I see. The instructor frowned slightly. But according to the Academy's rules, this year's entrance test has already ended. Oh, all right. The instructor nodded and smiled. Lin Feng, since you've asked, I have to give you face. Lin Feng smiled. Then I'll have to trouble you. No trouble, no trouble. The instructor smiled. Let your younger sister begin. Okay. As expected, Yu was indeed born with genes. Although he had already heard about it from his mother, Lin Feng was still filled with joy when the real test results came out. The path of an ancient warrior was difficult. Just the training of one's physical fitness required great perseverance and persistence. Their cultivation speed was far slower than that of a genetic battle general. From his perspective, he naturally hoped that his younger sister could walk the path of a genetic battle general. Right now, it was just as he wished. Brother, Yu tugged at Lin Feng's arm, her face full of reluctance. Cultivate well in the Academy. I'll come and see you when I come back from the wilderness. Lin Feng bent down and gently hugged his younger sister. He felt a bit of moisture on his neck. Brother, you have to be careful. Don't get hurt by those big monsters. Don't worry. They can't hurt me. Lin Feng smiled and rubbed his younger sister's head. Although he was reluctant, he could not back down the path he had to take. At 18, he had to replace his older brother and take care of the entire family. This was because this world was very realistic and cruel. Chapter 39. The Ancient Warrior Alliance. Located in the center of Sunset City, it was a very loose alliance, but it was the most authoritative existence among the ancient warriors. It protected the rights of the ancient warriors. It protected the status of the ancient warriors. It was the only fair way to judge the level of the ancient warriors. Anyone who attacks an ancient warrior in the forbidden area will be sentenced to imprisonment. Anyone who deliberately kills an ancient warrior in the major cities will pay with their life. Personal grudges must not involve family members. Those who violate the rules will pay with their lives, and those who violate the rules will be executed. Lin Feng looked at the 3 iron rules, his eyes shining. Although there were many loopholes in this, the simplest example was that an ancient martial venerable could kill an ancient warrior without making a sound. So what if there was no evidence? However, it had to be said that the existence of these 3 iron laws was like 3 mountains to a certain extent, standing tall in the ancient martial art alliance, making all the ancient martial art practitioners feel at peace, including himself. Congratulations, Brother Guan. You finally crossed the critical line. That's right. It took me a whole 4 months to do it. Brother, you're the best. You broke through the strength barrier and became an ancient warrior in just over a month. Hey, I'm nothing. The elite disciples of the 4 major martial arts sects all crossed the threshold in less than a month. The talented ones only needed a dozen days. Didn't the Bloodsword sect have a super genius called Yu Chua a few days ago? 12 days. She completed the strength barrier in just 12 days. The other 3 martial arts sects are jealous. No way 12 days? What kind of monster is that? Lin Feng walked into the hall of the Ancient Warrior Alliance. Groups of ancient warriors could be seen everywhere. Most of the ancient warriors in Sunset City were from the martial arts sects, especially the Sunset martial arts sects, which had branches in every major city. In terms of numbers, the 4 major martial arts sects were less than half of the Sunset martial arts sects. However, in terms of strength and aptitude, the Sunset martial arts sects could not even compare to the Barbarian Bull sect. Level 1. Ancient Warrior Certification. Level 2. Ancient Warrior Certification. Lin Feng glanced at the left and right sides of the hall. There was a clear regional symbol on each side. Countless ancient martial artists gathered and marked the certification process of an ancient warrior beside the regional symbol. It was simple and direct. Register first. Next, I'll test his mind expanse. Lastly, complete the physical index test. Lin Feng made a mental note of this, and his gaze fell on the center of the hall. 10 recording stations were busy recording the information of the ancient martial art practitioners. Lin Feng smiled faintly and casually found a place to queue up. Although it would take some time to be certified as an ancient warrior, the benefits were undeniable. At the very least, he would have a powerful backer in the future, a background that was more important than Jean College. Name? The staff member at the recording desk didn't even raise his head. Lin Feng. Age? 18. Raising his head, the staff member had a slightly surprised look in his eyes. The surrounding ancient martial artists also looked over. There weren't many ancient martial artists who could cross the critical line at the age of 18. Basically, they were the elite disciples of the 4 major martial gates. However, Lin Feng's martial attire didn't have the logo of the 4 major martial gates. Affiliation? The staff member's expression was slightly dignified. Independent warrior. Lin Feng's words immediately caused a commotion around him. The staff member frowned and glanced at Lin Feng. He took a note and said in a deep voice, "Cultivation heart formula, flowing cloud formula." Cough. The staff member choked. The 9-flow ancient martial arts heart formula, flowing cloud formula, was widely circulated in the market. He had met someone who crossed the critical line by cultivating flowing cloud formula, but that was to prolong their life. There wasn't a single ancient martial artist below the age of 30. Relying on the 9-flow ancient martial arts heart formula to cross the critical line at the age of 18, was it possible? Are you joking with me? The staff member was a little angry. No. Lin Feng shook his head indifferently. Their eyes met. Although the staff member did not believe him, he still pointed to the front left. Press your palm print. Ding. The palm print was pressed, confirming his identity. Let's test your mind expanse first, followed by your physical index. The staff member pushed a circular chip in front of Lin Feng and did not speak further. From his point of view, the youth in front of him was not speaking the truth. An 18-year-old independent warrior crossing the critical line by cultivating flowing cloud formula? What a joke. If he randomly asked any ancient martial artist, he would be laughed at by others. After easily passing the mind expanse test, Lin Feng headed for the final physical index test. The identity verification of an ancient martial artist was actually to input information into an information chip and register it in the superbrain of the Ancient Martial Artist Alliance. To a certain extent, it was similar to the battle crystal of the Battle College. After completing the verification, the information chip could be mounted on the elemental battlesuit. Different chips represented different identities. It's not an electric eye scan, Lin Feng thought to himself. The physical index test of an ancient martial artist was completely different from that of a genetic warrior. There was a huge difference between the two. A genetic warrior's physique came from his body. Genetic energy was integrated with his body, so the electric eye scan was clear and direct. However, it was different for an ancient martial artist. Heaven and earth energy was an invisible force that needed to be channeled in order to unleash its true power. Just like muscles, were they the same when they were relaxed and when they were tense? The electric eye could scan, but it was not precise enough. The physical index of a genetic warrior and an ancient martial artist was very different. Compared to a genetic warrior, an ancient martial artist's body was stronger. Different strength systems had different evaluation standards. Ancient Martial Artist Alliance, 2nd floor. Compared to the liveliness of the 1st floor, the 2nd floor was much quieter. After all, there were many ancient martial artists who crossed the critical line. However, the proportion of those with mind expanse over 20% was pitifully small. The long stone corridor shone with a luster of elemental gravel. It was as beautiful as crystal jade. "Ha! Elder Hu, what brings you here today?" The speaker was a man in a white shirt. He spoke in a forthright manner as though he was standing in the wind. "You are Little Wind Devil, Luo Changfeng from the Nine Cloud sect?" Elder Hu narrowed his eyes and the corner of his mouth curved. He glanced to the side and said, "My disciple Guo Li has just awakened his 2nd martial spirit. I brought him here to be certified as an ancient martial general." "Greetings, Senior Luo. I have heard a lot about you." The young man in blue, Guo Li, stepped forward and cupped his hands. "Oh, Battle College?" Luo Chengfeng's eyes flashed as he caught a glimpse of the Battle Crystal logo on Guo Li's body. He asked, "How old are you?" "I'm 20 this year." Guoli said in a dignified voice. He looked up at Luo Qingfeng and said, I have always set you as my goal. I hope to be like you and enter the ranks of ancient martial artists before the age of 24. You have ambition. Luo Qingfeng smiled. Elder Hu, it seems that your disciple is going to surpass you. It's not bad for a young man to be a little arrogant. Elder Hu looked at Luo Qingfeng with a smile. But you little wind devil, don't you have classes of the Ninth Cloud sect today? Why are you so free? Elder Hu, you must be joking. Luo Qingfeng smiled valiantly, and the corner of his mouth curved slightly. Didn't the Blood Sword sect produce a Yuchu a few days ago? No matter what, my Nine Firmament sect is still the head of the four great sections. How can we let the Blood Sword sect dominate us? Oh, Elder Hu's dim eyes lit up. What kind of unpolished jade is he? A perfect unpolished jade, Qinruotian. Luo Qingfeng crossed his index fingers. In just 10 hours, or to be precise, 9 hours and 59 minutes, he crossed the critical line. Elder Hu and Guo Li's expressions changed. They had never heard of an ancient martial artist who crossed the critical line in 10 hours. Not only that, Luo Qingfeng smiled proudly. Chen Ruotian's physical fitness is also amazing. He is a beginner ancient martial artist, but his physical fitness index has reached the intermediate ancient martial artist level. It should be his turn to be tested soon. I wonder if Elder Hu is interested in watching? Elder Hu narrowed his eyes and smiled. Of course. This way, please, Elder Hu. Inside the control room, there are many screens. However, compared to the control room in the world of war, the control room here was undoubtedly much more ordinary. There were only a few staff members, and it was more like a monitoring room. Switch to physical fitness testing room 3 for me. Luo Qingfeng said indifferently. His calm tone left no room for doubt. Yes, senior. The staff members did not dare to be negligent. They quickly switched the screens. When they glanced behind them, they were even more shocked. Compared to little wind demon Luo Qingfeng, the seemingly ordinary old man beside him was even more famous. The supervisor of the Sunset Dojo, Old Wine Pot, Hu Jiao. At this moment, the light on the defensive testing device was shining brightly. Ding! After the test was completed, a young man in martial arts clothes walked out indifferently. The ancient martial artist in charge of the test beside him was shocked. His physical strength is good for an intermediate ancient martial artist? Hu Jiao took a light breath, his eyes glowing. Although he was mentally prepared, he was still shocked when he saw the test results. As the supervisor of the Sunset Dojo, he would naturally appreciate talents when he saw good seedlings. It should be the central martial spirit that was activated. Hu Jiao's eyes flashed as he turned to look at Luo Qingfeng. I say, little wind demon, your Ninth Heaven Cloud sect really hit it well. Qinruotian, huh? What a perfect piece of unpolished jade. Hu Jiao sighed. However, he saw Luo Qingfeng's eyes wide open and his face blank. Hu Jiao was puzzled. What's wrong? Luo Qingfeng shook his head in a daze. He is not Qinruotian. What? Hu Jiao was shocked. Chapter 40. The two ancient martial artists looked at each other in shock. At this moment, Lin Feng's speed test had already begun. The flowing cloud art was a heart sutra that focused on movement. Lin Feng's movement was like quicksilver flowing on the ground, like a bolt of lightning streaking across the ground. In an instant, the testing device emitted a bright red light, producing a crisp ding-ding sound. The ancient martial artist in charge of the test was shocked beyond words. Mid-level ancient martial artist? Excellent. Hu Jiao and Luo Qingfeng looked at each other. Behind them, Guoli was already dumbfounded. But in the next moment, they truly felt suffocated. After coming down from the speed testing machine, Lin Feng did not even have the time to adjust his breathing. He casually took 2 steps forward and his body shot out like an arrow with a fully drawn bow. There seemed to be a dot of light flashing on his right arm. His strength condensed the energy of heaven and earth and instantly exploded. Dong! The strength testing device emitted a thunderous boom. Ding! Strength. High-level ancient martial artist average. Impossible. Where did this monster come from? Hu Jio and Luo Changfeng were completely shocked. How could a beginner ancient martial artist who had just crossed the threshold have such a terrifying physical index? Could it be that he was originally a high-level ancient martial artist? Guoli said in a daze. Yes. Luo Changfeng clapped his hands fiercely. His eyes lit up as he looked at the staff. Immediately checked the information on his crystal chip. This. The staff member's face turned pale. He was in a difficult position. If anything happens, I will take responsibility for you, Hu Jio said in a deep voice. The staff member clenched his teeth. His fingers immediately flew above the operating keyboard. In less than 3 seconds, the information on the crystal chip was completely displayed. However, the control room was completely silent. Everyone, including the staff, was dumbfounded at this moment. Lin Feng, male, 18 years old. Cultivation Heart Sutra, Flowing Cloud Art Affiliation. Independent Martial Artist Brain Expanse Body Toughness. Mid-level Ancient Martial Artist Excellent Speed. Mid-level Ancient Martial Artist Excellent Strength. High-level Ancient Martial Artist Average Almost in an Instant. Xiao. Like the wind sweeping away the clouds, a bolt from the blue. Hu Jio, who was originally like an ordinary old man, suddenly sprang out. His imposing manner was as fierce as a hungry tiger coming down the mountain, causing everyone to jump in fright. Luo Changfeng reacted in an instant. He moved swiftly like the wind and shouted, "Damn it, old wine pot! How dare you sneak away? This Lin Feng must belong to the Ninth Cloud sect." "Bullshit! He's from our Sunset Dojo." The two dignified, ancient martial venerables were like children fighting over a toy. In the main control room, everyone was still in shock. Even Guoli was completely forgotten, let alone the arrogant figure that appeared on the screen. Chen Ruotian. Perfect, unpolished jade? Compared to Lin Feng, he was just a pebble. Where is he? Where are they? Hu Jio and Luo Changfeng arrived almost at the same time, their faces filled with urgency. All the ancient martial artists were startled. The two ancient martial saints were extremely famous, especially the old wine pot, Hu Jio, who was the manager of the Sunset Dojo. They were all new ancient martial artists who had just crossed the threshold. How could they normally meet such people? With lightning speed, the two ancient martial saints didn't stop for even a moment and quickly swept through the area. Although the first floor was big, the two of them had already dug 3 feet into the ground in less than a minute. However, there was no sign of Lin Feng. Whoosh, whoosh. The two of them sprang out one after the other and went outside the Ancient Martial Artists Alliance. Unfortunately, they were still one step too late. Lin Feng was already far away. Hu Jio frowned. Sigh. Luo Changfeng couldn't help but sigh. Hu Jio glanced at the recording desk and said in a deep voice, 10 minutes ago. Who was the one who registered Lin Feng? All the staff members looked at each other. One of them turned pale and raised his hand in fear. Yes, it was me. Swish. Hu Jio's figure suddenly appeared. His eyes were burning. Other than the registration information, did he say anything else? No, nothing else. The staff member was trembling in fear. Bang! Hu Jio slammed his palm on the alloy table. The high-grade alloy that even advanced warlords couldn't destroy completely shattered. The staff member sat on the ground in shock, his hands trembling uncontrollably. Hu Jio stared angrily. Why didn't you report an 18-year-old genius ancient martial artist immediately? The staff member's eyes were filled with shock. I thought he was lying, you idiot. Trash. Hu Jio was furious, thinking about how he had brushed past a genius ancient martial artist just like that. Hu Jio felt depressed in his heart. If the opportunity was missed, there might not be another one. Especially, the Sunset Martial Arts School couldn't compare to the 4 martial arts schools. At this time, Lin Feng was already on the train. He didn't know what kind of commotion he had caused in the Ancient Martial Artists Alliance. The physical index standard of an ancient martial artist is stricter than that of a Geno warrior. The difference is about 1 to 2 grades. Lin Feng thought to himself. He was actually aware of his physical fitness. He relied more on the second stage of spirit of the Earth's enhancement. His strength was outstanding because of the activation of force. Although it had just been activated, his strength had increased by a lot. Among the 3 physical attributes, his strongest was speed and agility. On average, my current physical index is excellent for an intermediate ancient martial artist, and if I use the first stage of the 9 Dragon scripture, I can reach the level of an advanced ancient martial artist. Lin Feng was very satisfied, because his current body had just sprouted. Apart from the enhancement of spirit of the earth, he cultivated the path of an ancient martial artist and strengthened his genetic energy at the same time. The two could be said to complement each other. As his strength increased, his body would only become stronger. At the border of Jiaoyang District, Adventurer Town, out of the 60 districts of Sunset City, 12 of them were adjacent to the wilderness area. There were adventurer towns, and Jiaoyang District was one of them. There were no so-called residents in the town. Those who lived here were all freelance adventurers. They either rested for a short time or traded for supplies. What a strong smell of blood. Entering the town, the strong smell of beast mixed with the smell of blood hit him in the face. Lin Feng frowned slightly. Although he had killed and experienced countless battles, he was still a little uncomfortable. Compared to the commoner district, this was the real killing ground. Groups of freelance adventurers gathered here, licking the blood on their blades. Some of them were here for monetary benefits. Some were here to temper themselves, and some were here to challenge themselves in cultivation. As for himself, he had all 3 of them. Fighting is the fastest way to increase one's strength. Lin Feng's eyes were burning. Only a real life-threatening battle can train an ancient martial artist's will and strength. No matter how realistic the virtual network simulation is, it can't replace it. A battle without danger is just a game. Influenced by his elder brother since young, Lin Feng also had a heart that was filled with challenges. He was not afraid of danger. He was like a weed in the wind, seemingly soft, but tenacious and unyielding. E09 Wilderness Area, Adventurer Team, missing 1. E10 Wilderness Area, 3-star Ancient Martial Artist leading the team, missing 2 people in a 4-man team. Long-range attackers first. C02 Ruin World, 7-man team, 5-star Special Type, 6-star Electromagnetic Cannon, looking for experienced hunters, 4-star and above. There was a lot of shouting. Lin Feng walked into the town of adventurers and slowly adapted to the murderous atmosphere. His body was infected, and his blood seemed to be boiling. Before coming, he had done some research, but the information was very different from reality. The wilderness area was located around the city, and there were even troops stationed at the border. There were many elemental beasts, but most of them were elemental beast soldiers. Most of them were beginner and mid-level beasts. High-level beasts were rare, and it was even rarer to see general-level beasts. Therefore, the wilderness area was very safe, and it was the best place for new warriors to train. Of course, there would not be much to gain. I'll train in the wilderness and increase my strength first. Lin Feng walked to the center of the town. There was a huge square there. Not only were there many necessities and trading items, but it was also the place where adventurers gathered the most. Naturally, there were many adventurer bases and elemental shopping centers. Every new adventurer had to go to the adventurer base to receive an adventurer medal. In the world of adventurers, the medal represented strength. 1-star meant that one had the strength to kill beginner beast soldiers. 4-star meant that one had the ability to kill beginner beast king. The highest 9-star meant that one had killed the powerful and terrifying elemental beast king. To adventurers, strength levels were illusory. A beginner gene battle general who had never killed might not be comparable to an experienced high-level ancient martial artist. Adventurers looked at battle experience and real combat strength. Chapter 41. Adventurer's Base. There were many adventurers, ancient warriors in elemental armor, Geno warriors in Geno armor, and so on. 10 huge screens were playing subtitles, all of which were recruitment requirements. Some required the adventurer's medal level, some required the team's division of labor, and some even detailed gender, age, and so on. It was similar to the recruitment calls around the town, but this one was easier. Lin Feng walked in and saw a sea of people. It was too much for his eyes to take in. Other than forming teams, there was also the exchange of metals, which was done by special staff. In fact, the adventurers' base was more of a leisure area. The adventurers were eating meat and drinking wine. They were bold and uninhibited, laughing and bragging from time to time. Look at my scar. It's from escaping the claws of an elite elemental beast soldier. Really? Old Ma, don't brag. It's much rarer to meet an elite elemental beast soldier in the wilderness than a beast general. I heard that the C-02 ruin world found a rare earth element vein. How is that possible? Rare earth element veins are rare even in the wilderness. It's just a rumor. From time to time, Lin Feng heard all sorts of gossips. Although he couldn't believe everything, he could still get a lot of information. For Lin Feng himself, it was more of a combination of what he saw in the information and reality. For him, who had zero experience as an adventurer, it was a big gain. There's an old saying that reading 10,000 books was not as good as traveling 10,000 miles. Elite elemental beasts should be elemental beasts with an elemental heart as their core, Lin Feng thought. Elemental beasts could be divided into two types. One type used elemental crystals as their core, and the other used elemental hearts as their core. After the extinction, the spirit chi grew and nourished not only humans and beasts, but also plants and trees. Most of all were all kinds of metal ores. Metal ores gathered spirit chi, and the elements would condense into elemental crystals. When they condensed to the extreme, they would become elemental hearts. In simple terms, it was like an ordinary iron ore. There might be 1% iron in it. When this 1% iron was condensed, it would become an iron crystal. No matter how pure the iron crystal was, the true essence of this 1% was condensed into an elemental heart made of perfect elements. Wild beasts, like humans, absorbed spiritual energy and underwent changes. Absorbing an elemental crystal or elemental heart would make him stronger, just like a human Geno warrior. This was especially true for elemental beasts that had elemental hearts as their cores. In addition to cultivating faster than ordinary elemental beasts were also able to develop human intelligence. They were called elite elemental beasts. The crystal cores of ordinary elemental beasts were not worth much. However, for elite elemental beasts, not to mention their crystal cores, just their fur, tails, horns, bones, and so on were all very expensive. An elite elemental beast in the wilderness? Lin Feng laughed. It was basically impossible to find an elemental heart in the wilderness. If he wanted to find an elite elemental beast, unless his luck was really too good. At the metal exchange window, it's done. The staff member handed over the metal and the martial crystal expressionlessly. Lin Feng reached out and took it. The martial crystal in his hand was obtained from the Ancient Warrior Alliance. It recorded his information, including the most common E-grade elemental armor. The metal was light gray, and there was not a single star above it. It represented a new adventurer. Ha! Lin Feng placed the metal on his chest and instantly became one with the elemental battle suit. Identity confirmed. I've finally become a free adventurer. Lin Feng smiled. He had always been looking forward to the outside world. Since young, he had only heard about it from his elder brother. Now that he had become an adventurer, he could explore this unknown and boundless world. This feeling was very strange. It was as if the dream he had always been looking forward to had finally come true. I'll go and buy some necessities first. Lin Feng walked out. Although he did not have much money and could not afford capsule alloy houses, military tents, and so on, it was more than enough to buy some water and compressed biscuits. Elemental Shopping Center. This was one of the two major landmark buildings in the adventurer's town. It was a shopping center with a height of 5 stories. Regardless of whether it was for sale or for purchase, as long as it was useful, it would be available in the Elemental Shopping Center. The human traffic here was not any less than the adventurer's base. The daily transaction volume was also very high. The Elemental Merchant Association is extremely wealthy. Lin Feng walked into the shopping center. Although he did not have a deep understanding of the Elemental Merchant Association, he had a rough idea. This was a true giant that recruited genetic warriors and ancient martial artists all year round and gave them a good salary. From what he knew, a portion of the students from the Elementary Genetic Academy would choose to join the Elemental Merchant Association after graduation. Not only would they have good benefits, but they would also be able to obtain E9 elemental hearts for free. E9 elemental hearts were worth 100 silver coins, which was equivalent to 1 gold coin. There was no such good treatment in the police district. Ordinary gene fluid, 10 silver coins. Elementary gene fluid, 30 silver coins. E9 elemental battle armor, 20 silver coins. D9 genetic battle boots, 1 gold coin. Walking past the dazzling goods area, Lin Feng could only take a look. Right now, his pockets were empty. The exclusive benefits of the Elemental Battle Academy were good, but there were no monetary rewards. This included elementary gene, fluid, and elemental hearts. These were all prohibited from being sold. The money he had was only enough to buy water and compressed biscuits for a month. It was all gone. 1 month, that should be enough. I wonder if I'll be able to earn 80 silver coins. Lin Feng planned in his heart and slowly walked out. His sister's medical fees weren't cheap. Including the hospitalization fees, he had spent a total of 80 silver coins. Teacher Yumeng had paid for him. No matter what, Lin Feng didn't want to owe others money, especially when he had the ability to repay them. Mid-level ancient martial artists can earn an average of 30 silver coins a month. High-level ancient martial artists can earn an average of around 100 silver coins a month. Lin Feng nodded lightly. With his current strength, it should be said that he was in between the two. It was indeed a little stressful to earn 80 silver coins a month, but it wasn't an impossible goal. Often, a surprised voice suddenly rang out from the front. Lin Feng was puzzled and looked over. The voice was somewhat familiar. Haha, it's really you, Offing. It was a man with a crew cut and wearing an elemental battle armor. He was smiling and waving at Feng Xingjian. Brotherly, Lin Feng smiled and nodded. He then walked over. He was his neighbor in the community, Li Min, a mid-level ancient martial artist. He had always been nice to Feng Xingjian. I was wondering why you look so familiar. It's really you, Offing. I haven't seen you for 2 years. TSK, you've grown taller. Li Min laughed heartily. He suddenly glanced at the medal on Lin Feng's chest and said in surprise, I heard that you, Offing, have been admitted to the Battle Academy. I haven't had time to congratulate you. Now, why are you here? Lin Feng smiled and said, I want to practice and earn some money. Oh, Li Min nodded. He knew a thing or two about Lin Feng's family background. He frowned and said, but you're a newcomer. It's dangerous. Suddenly, Li Min turned his head and said to the 2 men and 1 woman behind him, Brother Lei, Sister Jean, Haozi, let me introduce you. This is Lin Feng, a genetic warrior. He just got admitted to the Battle Academy this year. His strength is not bad. He's just a newcomer and doesn't have much experience. Can you teach him? Lei Bao frowned and hesitated. No. Sister Jin's face turned cold. Teaching a newcomer will drag us down. That's right. Haozi glanced at Lin Feng's medal and raised his eyebrows. Min, we are a 3-star adventurer team. If this little friend of yours was a 2-star adventurer, we could let him go. But, as he said that, he pointed at Lin Feng's chest. His meaning was obvious. He was too weak. Brother Lei. Li Min's face was a little ugly. He looked at the team leader Lei Bao and said, Brother Lei, help us. Lei Bao frowned and said, Min, if you bring 1 more person for no reason, it will affect the cooperation of our team. Brother Lei, Li Min gritted his teeth. At most, I'll take half of the profit this time. Sister Jean and Haozi's eyes suddenly lit up when they heard that. I see. Lei Bao nodded hesitantly and frowned. There's no need. Lin Feng suddenly interrupted and looked at Li Min with a smile. Brotherly, thank you for your kindness, but I want to try it alone. Then, he smiled and nodded at Brother Lei and the other 2. Lin Feng immediately walked out. He didn't plan to join any team in the first place. 1 more incense burner meant 1 more ghost. This was true for Lei Bao and the others, but for Lin Feng, wasn't it the same? not to mention letting Brother Lee squeeze out his share of the profit. It was completely unnecessary. This little friend is guts. Housie smiled, but there was a hint of mockery in his smile. Arrogant, arrogant. Sister Jean sneered. He just came out of the academy and doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. He thinks that the wilderness is just for fun and he can make money. Humph, he will suffer when the time comes. Li Min's face was ugly. He was extremely unhappy. Don't be like this. Min Lei Bao was comforting Li Min when the crystal watch on his hand suddenly rang. Lei Bao doubtfully turned it on, and his eyes flickered. What's wrong? Sister Jean asked. Lei Bao raised his head and looked in the direction where Lin Feng had left. He frowned and said, Supervisor who sent a group message asking us to pay attention to an 18-year-old beginner ancient warrior named Lin Feng. He is a free warrior. If we find him, immediately report to the dojo. After confirmation, we will receive a reward of 10 gold coins. Hiss! Everyone couldn't help but gasp. 10 gold coins. They couldn't even earn that much in a year. It can't be him. Didn't Amin just say? He is from Zhan Academy, and he is a genetic warrior, Housie said. There are many people with the same name. Lin Feng is the name of 800 in Lori City. Sister Jean frowned and sneered. Besides, he doesn't look like a strong warrior. Lei Bao nodded his head and smiled. Right. How could there be such a coincidence? Chapter 42. Lin Feng, an 18-year-old beginner, ancient warrior? Who is he? Who cares who he is? If we find him, we'll get 10 gold coins as a reward. Are you kidding me? 10 gold coins? How can it be fake when Butler Hu the Sunset Dojo personally sent the message? Please, a mere 10 gold coins is nothing to the Sunset Dojo. In Sunset City, news about Lin Feng spread like wildfire. Butler Hu Jio, nicknamed Old Wine Pot, was famous in Sunset City and had students all over the world. Just as everyone was guessing who this mysterious beginner stage ancient martial artist, Lin Feng, was and what was so special about him, another sensational piece of news broke out. The head of the 4 major sects in Sunset City, the Nine Cloud sect, was also sending people to search for Lin Feng. This time, Sunset City was completely stirred. In the cold room of the Cold Blade sect, a shirtless man with a sword in his hand said, Go and find out what's going on. Yes, deputy sect leader. In the Barbarian Bull sect, the Arhut Palace, the 18 Arhats all showed their power. Spread the news immediately. We're also looking for him. A burly man who looked like a giant bull said in a low voice, The talent that Old Wine Pot and Little Wind Devil value is definitely not ordinary. How can our Barbarian Bull sect fall behind? Zhan College. 18 years old, Lin Feng. Yu Meng was slightly startled. Her chest rose and fell, and the unyielding figure with a laser sword appeared in her mind. Yu Meng smiled. Butler Hu and the others are looking for a beginner ancient warrior, so it can't be him. But this Lin Feng really has a lot of people. We're not lacking in any of them. With Lin Feng's talent, he'll definitely be able to enter Area S within 3 years. His upper limit may not be lower than Long Qin. At this time, Lin Feng had just entered the E10 wilderness. His identity information was bound to the battle crystal of Zhan College. Naturally, it was impossible to bind the Ancient Warrior Alliance's martial crystal. Going to the Ancient Warrior Alliance to get his identity verified could pave the way for himself in advance and find a big backer. After all, he was no longer a real Geno warrior. Secondly, wasn't it good to have another identity? Unbeknownst to him, the 4 great martial gates and the Sunset Dojo had probably turned the entire Sunset City upside down in order to find him. The Ancient Martial Artist Alliance is quite generous. Lin Feng turned on the function of the crystal watch. The red dots on it represented the ancient martial artists around him. This was a crystal watch with a positioning function. Lin Feng did not mind exposing his whereabouts. There were very few fights between ancient martial artists in the wilderness. Using the positioning function, he could find prey better and would not overlap with the hunting direction of other ancient martial art squads. Moreover, the storage space of this crystal watch was much larger than that of his first one. In this elemental battle suit, Lin Feng flicked the arm guard. Although it was the lowest level E9, the quality was actually not bad. At least it could block the ordinary attack of a beginner beast soldier. Although the college had given him a D4 Geno armor and a set of combat boots, Lin Feng did not want to use them for the time being. After all, if someone saw them, how would he explain? Swish! Lin Feng moved at high speed. Compared to entering with a team, he preferred to be free alone, especially in the wilderness. He did not need help. Even if it was an advanced beast soldier, Lin Feng was confident that he could kill it. Of course, this was under the premise of the Nine Dragons Sutra and Spirit Chi explosion. If he was a normal ancient martial artist, he would be at the level of an intermediate ancient martial artist. Master the Saber Intent Realm. After practicing the ancient martial heart sutra, even if it's just the flowing cloud sutra, I should be able to fight an advanced beast soldier. If I can't beat it, I'll use Spirit Chi. Lin Feng already had a plan in mind. Spirit Chi was different from the Nine Dragon Sutra. The Nine Dragon Sutra was easy to expose, but Spirit Chi was difficult to see. And even if Spirit Chi was exposed, what did it matter? Let's practice with the beginner beast soldier first. As we go deeper into the wilderness and get closer to the ruins, the elemental beast will become stronger and stronger. By then, I believe I'll be proficient. Practice the saber. Lin Feng's goal was very clear. Geno warriors relied on the space of consciousness to practice the saber. They relied on the precise and perfect execution of each move. However, ancient martial artists were completely different. Ancient martial artists practiced the saber by feeling pure feeling. The so-called intent realm was actually a very vague thing. For Lin Feng, who had been practicing the saber in the space of consciousness since he was young, this was very unfamiliar. However, Lin Feng believed that neo-martial arts and paleo-martial arts were similar in many ways. For example, the realm of the saber. This was also a very fantasy description, but it was real. A saber grandmaster could kill an expert who was skilled in saber techniques with a casual strike. Why? It was because of the realm of the saber. The realm of the saber is definitely the same. Lin Feng swung his alloy saber and went straight for the iron-skinned pig in front of him. This was an indescribable feeling. The alloy saber in his hand seemed to have a spirit. He could feel the pig's breathing and pulse, move according to its rhythm, move his body, swing his arm, and shake his wrist. Almost subconsciously, he gently slashed Chi. Blood splattered everywhere. The iron-skinned pig let out a mournful cry and fell into a pool of blood. This is the feeling. Lin Feng's eyes flickered. His right hand, holding the alloy saber, tightened. This saber was completely different from the previous 6 hours. Although he did not use any saber skills and only relied on his own attainments in the saber, it was like a turning saber. In a daze, he seemed to have slowly forgotten the saber intent that he had practiced for 6 years. However, this forgetting was so clear. This is the realm of the saber of the ancient martial artists, saber in hand, saber in heart. Lin Feng's eyes flickered. He closed his eyes and was completely immersed in the saber just now. Forgetting the realm of the saber of the Geno warriors. Clarity gradually touching the realm of the ancient martial artist saber. The two were only separated by a thin stream. Crossing over was touching. After a long time, I think I understand. A faint smile appeared on Lin Feng's face. The alloy saber in his hand flashed a faint light, and a small crystal core suddenly appeared in the body of the iron-skinned pig that couldn't be any more dead. With a flick of the saber, Lin Feng directly collected it into his crystal watch. E9 iron crystal core, worth 1 copper coin. Practice nonstop. Actual combat was the best training. Lin Feng knew this very well. After practicing the saber for 1,000 times, its meaning would be revealed. He had not practiced the tiger-slaying saber technique, the 7th class saber technique. More haste, less speed. Lin Feng believed that the most important step was to perfectly transform his saber realm of the Geno warriors into the saber realm of the ancient martial artists. If the saber realm of the ancient martial artists was successful, why would he worry about not being able to comprehend the saber moves and saber intent? 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. Lin Feng did not sleep or rest. It was as if he was possessed. Comprehension was very likely just a flash of light. Only by grasping that flash of light tightly and practicing over and over again could he expand the originally weak light bit by bit. He could slowly uncover the mysterious and unknown domain and reveal it in front of his eyes. Whoosh! It was a simple slash, but it had an unfathomable power. The saber in Lin Feng's hand drew a perfect arc. A huge manganese dog whimpered miserably. Blood splattered in the air. It was broken into 2 pieces. At this moment, the strength of the mid-level B soldier could not be used at all. It was completely dead. Lin Feng's eyes were slightly bright, and the corners of his mouth curled up. On the 3rd day in the wilderness, the Saber Realm had reached the peak of the 3rd realm of the ancient martial artists. According to the Geno warriors, that was the 3rd stage, perfect. Chapter 43. Hey, young Master Shui, when are you going to change your name? That's not good. Who has the surname Jin? Besides, Jin Shui, Jin Shui. If it sounds homophonic, then it's really bad. In the academy classroom, there was a burst of laughter. The students laughed until tears were about to burst out. Only Shui Jin's face was ugly, and there was no trace of his noble temperament. He roared, "How did I not keep the agreement? Lin Feng is in seclusion. What can I do?" Gnashing his teeth, he remembered that 3 days ago, he foolishly waited for Lin Feng in the world of battle. Shui Jin felt that there was nowhere to vent his pent-up anger. Hateful. He was extremely angry. This is what you said, we don't know? Yes, words are no proof. What evidence do you have to prove that Lin Feng is in seclusion? Maybe you are afraid of him, so you deceived us? I say, young Master Shui, shouldn't we admit defeat? The mocking, accompanied by laughter, made Shui Jin's face turn gloomy. At this moment, he was like a golden-haired lion. His anger finally broke out, and his eyes were about to crack. All of you listen to me carefully. If anyone sees Lin Feng's number 102,100 online, inform me immediately. I will give you 10 battle points. I, Shui Jin, have never been afraid of anyone. A mere person who used connections to get in through the back door is nothing. Shui Jin's eyes were full of disdain. Right, Long Qin? With a faint smile, Long Qin brushed past and left. How can he have the time to care about you, young Master Shui? Yes, Long Qin's goal is the academy selection in 3 months. Do you think Long Qin will be the first to win the championship as a freshman? Impossible. There are 2 more participants in Area S, and they are all at the level of battle generals. E10 Wilderness. I'm so hungry. Lin Feng leaned against a big tree, stuffing compressed biscuits into his mouth. After 3 days and 3 nights of continuous cultivation, Lin Feng finally felt his hunger and exhaustion rolling in after he finished his cultivation. However, the results of these 3 days of cultivation were indeed remarkable. Not only had he taken the most important step, but his saber technique had also improved by another level. Realm, simply put, is the control of the saber. Different paths lead to the same destination. Just like the path of an ancient warrior and the path of a Geno warrior, they're all about expanding the brain. However, I didn't expect that the level of my saber technique would increase. It was an unexpected surprise. Lin Feng revealed a smile and gulped down a mouthful of water to replenish his body's moisture, his eyes sparkling. After 3 days of training, not only had he reached the peak of sword technique level 3, but he had also vaguely seen the next level. Although the transition from neo-martial arts to paleo-martial arts was only a small step, it seemed to have changed his thinking and opened his eyes to a whole new world. Only a real battle would have such efficiency. It would be of great help to him. 4th realm, huh? Lin Feng smiled. Although he yearned for it, he clearly knew that this step was very difficult to cross. Compared to the 3rd realm, the 4th realm was a completely different level. Even among ancient martial venerables, less than 1 in 10,000 had comprehended the 4th realm. After replenishing his energy, Lin Feng immediately took out a capsule. The capsule instantly exploded when it landed on the ground, turning into a mid-level Geno nutrition cabin. Lin Feng opened the cabin door and poured a bottle of low-level Geno fluid into it. Since he was training alone and did not have a capsule alloy house or a military tent, he naturally had to think of other ways. He could not sleep, right? With Lin Feng's current strength, he would be fine even if he did not sleep for 7 days and 7 nights. However, mental exhaustion would seriously affect his efficiency, especially the state of comprehension. Sleep was basically a form of mental recovery. Since waking up early, Lin Feng had replaced it with cultivation. The effect of replenishing genetic energy was not inferior to sleeping. The last time I didn't sleep for 3 days and 3 nights, I was so dizzy that I was about to collapse. However, this time, Lin Feng looked at the Geno nutrition cabin, his eyes flickering. Apart from hunger, he did not feel too tired, just a little unwell. Is it because I've crossed the critical line? Lin Feng pondered. With a carefree smile, Lin Feng did not think too much. As the Geno nutrition cabin opened completely, he entered it. Let's see how long I can absorb this bottle of low-level Geno fluid this time. Lin Feng slowly closed his eyes and immersed himself in it. He was already very familiar with the cultivation of the ancient warrior's Heart Sutra. He did not need to deliberately enter that state. His body could naturally feel the majestic energy of heaven and earth rapidly converging toward him. It seems it's more than before, Lin Feng thought to himself. The flowing cloud art instantly circulated and started to absorb the energy of heaven and earth. He did not circulate the Nine-Dragon Sutra. Firstly, the circulation of a Nine-Dragon Sutra would cause strange phenomena to appear, and it would be easy to be exposed. Secondly, he needed 100% of his concentration to circulate the Nine-Dragon Sutra. This was especially so for the second level of the Nine-Dragon Sutra. He could not afford to be careless. However, this was the wilderness. There might be elemental beasts or even warriors coming here at any moment. By using the flowing cloud art, Lin Feng could split half of his consciousness to be vigilant of his surroundings. Safety was naturally his #1 priority. 1 hour. 2 hours pa. Lin Feng opened his eyes and took in a breath of cold air. It was empty. The Gene nourishment cabin was empty once again. Only 2 hours. Although he was mentally prepared, Lin Feng still felt abnormally shocked. The absorption speed of his body was much faster than he had expected. He closed his eyes and felt the genetic energy in his body. Although there was a lot of residual genetic energy, it was far from being saturated. Continue. Lin Feng's eyes sparkled. He was delighted. What did this astonishing rate of genetic energy absorption mean? The rapid increase of his mind expanse. The second bottle. The third bottle. Lin Feng continued to absorb 2 bottles of low-level Geno fluid before it ended. In the distance, the morning sun had already revealed its rays and was gradually rising in the darkness. Lin Feng's heart was beating extremely fast. He had spent less than 6 hours to completely absorb 3 bottles of low-level Geno fluid into his body. At this moment, his body had just reached its saturation point. Before he crossed the critical line, his body could not even completely absorb a bottle of ordinary Geno fluid. Now, the increase was too shocking. I wonder how long it will take to completely digest all this genetic energy. Lin Feng thought to himself. Absorbing was one thing, digesting was another. However, there was one thing that he was sure of. It would definitely take him less than 3 hours to completely digest a bottle of low-level Geno fluid. 12 hours. After 6 hours of continuous genetic energy absorption, Lin Feng was full of energy. He went deeper into the E10 wilderness and avoided other ancient warrior teams. Soon, he was slowly approaching the center of the wilderness. Compared to the low-level beast soldiers in the outer regions of the wilderness, many low-level beast soldiers were gradually gathering here. There were even mid-level beast soldiers. From here onwards, it was the true hunting ground of the adventurer teams. Tiger slaying saber technique. Head cleaving, tendons rupturing, bones crushing. Lin Feng encountered a mid-level beast soldier by chance. The rock ironhound body was like a rock and iron block. It had an iron crystal as its core, and its body's defense was abnormally strong. After the mass extinction, dogs, cats, and pigs evolved significantly due to their good reproductive ability and above-average intelligence. They were the most common elemental beasts. Intent. What is it? Intent, the energy of heaven and earth, and the moves. How should I combine them? Waving the alloy saber, Lin Feng's moves were extremely strange at this moment. It was sometimes strong and sometimes weak. The saber force was sometimes fierce and sometimes soft. It was like a willow leaf in the wind, swaying unsteadily. For a moment, the rock iron hound roared and kept attacking fiercely to gain the upper hand. In the distance, a three-man adventurer team sped past. Look, a mid-level ancient warrior. What a poor saber technique. It has no intent at all. It's completely relying on brute force. Can it break through the defense? He dares to enter the wilderness alone with such strength. He's really courting death. Not to mention the high-level B soldiers. Even a group of mid-level B soldiers could tear him apart. I think he might not even be able to defeat this rock iron hound. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Not long after the three-man adventurer team left. Chi, a saber light, appeared out of nowhere with terrifying power and directly shattered the rock iron hound. Lin Feng grabbed the E8 iron crystal core that fell out of the flesh and turned to leave. Mid-level B soldiers are too weak. It's not challenging enough to comprehend the intent of the saber technique. Chapter 44. The concept originates from the saber technique realm. No, that's not the case. The concept of the moves originates from the moves. It's the same as neo-martial arts. However, neo-martial arts use the moves to drive the concept, while paleo-martial arts use the concept to integrate into the moves he practiced while comprehending. Lin Feng didn't stay idle either. Combining actual combat with comprehension, they complemented each other. Like the sunset saber, when I use it, I can feel a surge of power as majestic as the setting sun. Meteor, when I use it, I vaguely feel like a meteor streaking past. In fact, the saber and the move should be inseparable. Compared to other ancient martial arts practitioners, Lin Feng's neo-martial arts attainments were very deep. Moreover, the neo-martial arts saber techniques that he comprehended were all completely mastered and 100% perfect. Naturally, his comprehension was deep. While Lin Feng was thinking, he casually killed two ferocious manganese pigs effortlessly. While retreating, Lin Feng constantly pondered over the concept of the saber moves and casually waved his saber to counterattack. On the ground, there were already 4 ferocious manganese pig corpses. The grayish-white ripples on each of them were not only clear, but also numerous. They were all mid-level beast weapons. If it was Lin Feng who had just entered the wilderness, it would definitely be a fierce battle. However, now, he had completely mastered the third realm of the ancient martial arts saber technique. Lin Feng killed mid-level beast weapons as easily as taking something out of his pocket. There was no danger or pressure to speak of. I think I understand. I was too obsessed. In fact, there's no need to separate the concept. The so-called concept, it exists for the saber moves. The first move of the tiger-slaying saber technique, head cleaving. The alloy saber in Lin Feng's hand fell violently, containing a hint of concept. The last ferocious manganese pig howled miserably and fell into a pool of blood. So, it's my direction. It's wrong. Lin Feng smiled slightly. The door of the ancient martial arts path in front of him was slowly opening for him. Everything was difficult at the beginning. The first comprehension of the concept was definitely difficult. In particular, Lin Feng had never walked the path of an ancient martial artist, nor did he have a master to guide him. He could only explore by himself. Just like that day when he sensed the energy of heaven and earth. If he had a teacher to guide him, Lin Feng wouldn't have had to rely on himself to fumble around for an entire hour before he could get a glimpse of the mysteries. Head cleave, tendon rupture, shatter bones. Lin Feng honed his moves one by one, striving for perfection like a machine. 6 years of training in neo-martial arts had trained Lin Feng to be careful and to pursue perfection. Although the artistic conception was important, the shape of the blade could not be relaxed. Advanced side by side, Lin Feng believed that this was the only way to unleash the strongest power. Chi, Chi. Lin Feng's saber energy rumbled as he gradually entered the best state. He infused his consciousness into the saber move, using his body to sense it and using the saber in his hand to comprehend it. The so-called saber move concept was different from the realm. It could not exist independently. It was a part of the saber move, the soul of the saber move. It was just that neo-martial arts broke it into parts and buried it in the saber moves, but paleo-martial arts was to condense it into one and combine it with the energy of heaven and earth, using the artistic conception to drive the saber move. Strength, courage, invincible. The artistic conception of the saber move was getting clearer and clearer. Lin Feng's saber drew a cold light. His aura was violent and fierce. Wherever it passed, it was like thunder roaring. Roar. A mournful beast's roar resounded through the wilderness, and a 5-meter-long manganese canine fell to the ground with a loud crash. Its entire body was covered in grayish-white patterns, and its manganese crystal was clearly flashing. Its skull was completely shattered. This is the artistic conception. Lin Feng smiled. With a shake of his wrist, an arc of light flashed. A piece of E7 manganese crystal was like a pearl, shining brightly. He had officially opened the door to becoming an ancient martial artist. Lin Feng did not stop because of this. Instead, he went deeper into the wilderness. There were no shortcuts in the practice of saber moves. To be perfect, one would need to train in actual combat again and again. For example, neo-martial arts saber moves had to be meticulous in the space of consciousness. Even if one performed it 1,000 times or 10,000 times, there would not be any mistakes. In a battle, one mistake and the result could be death. Kill. Numb killing. To Lin Feng, this was actually not much different from the practice in the space of consciousness. It was just that the practice here allowed one to have a deeper understanding of the body, and he could also earn some money. Iron, manganese, chromium. The 3 most common metals, which are also all E-grade elements. Therefore, the most common elemental beasts with iron, manganese, and chromium crystals as their crystal cores were extremely common. The most valuable part of an elemental beast was undoubtedly its crystal core. However, because iron, manganese, and chromium were common, the price was on the lower side. As for the elemental beast's leather, fur, horn, and so on, although valuable to Lin Feng, it was too troublesome. Instead of wasting time cutting fur, Lin Feng would rather kill one more elemental beast. Although the crystal core's price was not high, it won in quantity. Phew! Lin Feng put away the last crystal core and looked into the distance. At this time, the sky was just beginning to brighten. Unknowingly, another day had passed. The alloy saber in his hand reeked of blood. Even the elemental battle suit was stained with blood, as if he had returned from hell. I've almost mastered the tiger slaying saber technique. Lin Feng put away the alloy saber. Now that his saber technique had reached the peak of the 3rd level, cultivating the 7th-rate saber technique was like an adult doing a child's test. According to neo-martial arts standards, the 2nd level of saber technique could cultivate D-grade martial arts, and the 3rd level could cultivate C-grade martial arts, which was equivalent to the yellow-level saber technique. Close to 18 hours. Lin Feng sensed his body and nodded in satisfaction. At this time, the genetic energy in his body was almost exhausted. It took him 6 hours to absorb 3 bottles of elementary gene fluid, and another 18 hours to digest them. In other words, his body had completely absorbed 1 bottle of elementary gene fluid. From the beginning to the end, it only took him 8 hours. Compared to the previous estimate of 12 hours, the time had been reduced by 1/3. His training speed could still be increased. Lin Feng's eyes shone brightly. 3 bottles of elementary gene fluid a day. Lin Feng calculated in his heart. Apart from strengthening the body and martial spirit, each bottle of gene fluid can also increase the mind expanse by 0.2%. Lin Feng clearly remembered that the mind expanse he tested in the Ancient Warrior Alliance took about half a year just by absorbing genetic energy. I can increase the mind expanse to this level, and I haven't even taken into account the Ancient Warrior's training. It's really shocking. Lin Feng shook his head in disbelief. Such a cultivation speed was unheard of. However, he seemed to have missed something. Elementary gene fluid. Lin Feng suddenly revealed a bitter smile. An E9 crystal core was worth 1 copper coin. An E8 crystal core was worth 2 copper coins, and an E7 crystal core was worth 5 copper coins. Iron, manganese, and chromium, these 3 elements were not worth much. It was still a question whether he could buy a bottle of ordinary gene fluid worth 10 silver coins with his 4 days' worth of earnings. A bottle of elementary gene fluid would cost 30 silver coins. In other words, if he wanted to reach the limit of his training speed, he would need to spend 90 silver coins a day. Money. So much money. Lin Feng closed his eyes and felt a deep sense of helplessness. Chapter 45. To Lin Feng, this was undoubtedly a blessing. His cultivation speed was indeed fast enough, but his empty pockets could not keep up. Not to mention, he had a great need for money. Beginner ancient warriors can earn 10 silver coins a month. Intermediate ancient warriors can earn about 30 silver coins. And advanced ancient warriors can earn more than 100 silver coins. Lin Feng nodded secretly. The stronger one was the greater one's ability to earn money. If I become an ancient warrior general, my income will increase greatly. Lin Feng's eyes flashed, and he was clear in his heart. Compared to the huge world of ruins, the wilderness was just a beginner's village in online games. That was the real treasure trove, and only the capable could live there. There were countless elemental crystals, spiritual fruits, herbs, and even metal veins. In the world of ruins, D and C grade metal elements would appear. Even the price of elemental beast cores would increase. Of course, the danger level would also increase tenfold. One step at a time. At least I still have 44 bottles of beginner gene fluid, which is enough for half a month of absorption and cultivation. Moreover, even without the gene fluid, I can absorb the energy of heaven and earth to cultivate. Lin Feng smiled, very satisfied. Cultivation was a long journey to begin with. It was impossible to achieve it overnight. As far as he was concerned, the biggest goal of his trip into the wastelands had already been achieved much faster than he had expected. Now, he had become a true ancient warrior. Although he only used the 9th grade ancient warrior heart formula, flowing cloud formula, and the 7th grade saber formula, tiger slaying saber technique, he could already defeat advanced bee soldiers. Although the strength of advanced bee soldiers could not be compared to advanced warriors, although it was a bit difficult to defeat them. However, this was something unimaginable before entering the wastelands. The time ratio was 1:3. 6 hours to absorb the genetic energy, 18 hours to hone in actual combat. Lin Feng began his long journey of cultivation as he slowly made his way into the depths of the E10 wilderness. While fighting and comprehending, he familiarized himself with the chi formula and movement technique. On the 7th day in the wilderness, Lin Feng finally arrived at the deepest part of the wilderness. Is that the world of ruins? Lin Feng stood at the top of the mountain and looked into the distance. One could vaguely see bungalows, but they were not complete. They had all been destroyed by the tsunami of meteorites. From time to time, the roars of beasts could be heard. They were full of might and aggressiveness, densely packed together. The number of elemental beasts could be said to be terrifying. It was as if he had entered the ruins alone and was surrounded. It was probably a dead end. Mass extinction, Lin Feng thought to himself. He had never truly witnessed the Great Extinction. He had only read about it from the information and heard about it from his big brother. That was a disaster that could destroy everything. Countless meteorites from outer space crashed down, bringing with them the majesty of the universe's starry sky. It showed how insignificant and unruly human beings were. The earth was destroyed, tsunamis erupted, and volcanoes erupted. Countless cities and island nations were destroyed and submerged. The oceans and land changed, and the ecosystem was reset. During the ancient martial era, there were hundreds of billions of humans. However, after the disaster, there was less than 1% of them left, including other creatures. If not for the protection of the 7 sacred relics, the casualties would have been even greater. Ancient Huaxiao relied on the sacred relic, the Great Wall, and had the lowest casualty rate among all the countries. Lin Feng's eyes flickered. He could not help but think of the transcendent existence that stretched for thousands of miles like a coiling dragon. He had seen a part of the Great Wall in the history books and the supercomputer's information. It had an inexplicable attraction. When I first saw it, I felt that it was very familiar. Lin Feng felt as if he had returned to when he was young. Is it because the blood of the people of Huaxia flows in my body? Closing his eyes, Lin Feng clenched his fists. He had a wish since he was young. It was to be able to see this legendary, sacred relic existence. As long as I continue to cultivate, become stronger, and become stronger, there will definitely be a chance. Lin Feng opened his eyes and looked down. One day, he would stand at the peak of martial artists. Lin Feng's harvest was getting more and more plentiful. As he got closer to Ruin C02, there were more mid-grade and high-grade B soldiers, especially the crystal cores, which were not only E-grade, iron, manganese, and chromium, but also D-grade crystal cores. High-grade B soldiers fused with D-grade crystal cores were 1 level stronger than E-grade B soldiers. However, Lin Feng's strength was also constantly increasing. The absorption of genetic energy not only expanded the breadth of his mind, but it also strengthened his muscles and bones. Even the transcendent existence, soul of the earth, was silently nurturing spirit energy. After entering the wilderness for 10 days, Lin Feng felt that his physical fitness index had increased by another level. Meteor strike. Lin Feng's alloy battle saber drew a shocking light. 2 high-grade B soldiers cried out in pain as their blood splattered in midair. It was an extremely fast slash. The battle was already over before the saber could be seen. I've almost completely grasped the concept of the 3 moves, Meteor. Lin Feng smiled. The alloy battle saber in his hand flashed, and 2 shiny crystal cores appeared in front of him. D1 Neo Martial Art, Meteor. According to the classification of ancient martial artists, it was a first-class martial art. It was very difficult to grasp the concept of a neo martial art. However, Lin Feng had already mastered the 3 moves, Meteor. He could even feel a hint of the concept. These days, he had been constantly sharpening himself through actual combat and had gradually transformed it. Compared to learning a new saber technique from scratch, it was undoubtedly faster and simpler. The only thing he lacked was that he couldn't unleash the full power of the 3 moves, Meteor. Fortunately, Meteor wasn't known for its power. Speed. The essence of Meteor was its speed. Coupled with the Phantom Dance steps, it's even faster. Lin Feng was very satisfied. The cultivation of the Phantom Dance steps was definitely more difficult than the Qi art. However, his mastery of the Phantom Dance steps was still gratifying. I entered the wilderness on the 10th, and it's already the 25th. Unknowingly, half a month has already passed. Lin Feng glanced at his crystal watch. The time spent cultivating passed very quickly. Of the 47 bottles of elementary gene fluid he brought, there were only 11 bottles left. Lin Feng's gaze fell on the C02 ruined world in the distance, and an inexplicable desire rose in his heart. Now, I can already easily kill high-level B soldiers, including the D-grade crystal cores. My strength has increased beyond my expectations. Why don't I try going to the border of the C02 ruined world? Lin Feng's eyes shone, and his blood seemed to be burning. He was very eager for a challenge. After mastering the Phantom Dance steps and Meteor, there was no longer any existence that could threaten him in the wilderness. He could only kill for the sake of killing. Lin Feng didn't like this feeling. I'll give it a try. Even if I encounter a beginner warlord, I should be able to fight. Moreover, I still have spirit energy and the 9 dragon scripture. He didn't hesitate anymore. Rather than wasting time here, Lin Feng was more willing to accept the challenge. A hint of anticipation and excitement flashed across his face. Lin Feng moved the alloy saber in his hand and stepped over the border. His determined figure slowly disappeared into the forest. He officially entered C02 Ruin World. Chapter 46. 3 days later. Whoosh! A figure stepped on the steps of a phantom as he sped up the mountain. The Geno armor on his body was tattered, but the Geno battle boots on his feet glowed faintly. Behind him, 3 elemental beasts that were emitting dense electric arcs followed closely, especially the one that was charging at the front. There was a sharp silver-white horn on its forehead that was shining with white light. Thunder Raccoon. With the aluminum crystal as its core, it could emit electricity when it was a soldier-level beast. When it reached commander level, it would mutate and grow a silver horn that could release strong electricity. 2d7 aluminum crystal cores, 1d6 aluminum crystal core, and a Thunder Raccoon's horn. At least 10 silver coins. Lin Feng's eyes were filled with battle intent, and the corners of his mouth curled up. Among the D-grade metal elements, aluminum, which had high conductivity, was expensive. In an instant, the demonic dance steps were extremely confusing, causing the ferocious eyes of the 3-headed Thundershock Raccoon to look around. Lin Feng had switched from defense to offense. Boom! Not bad. Lin Feng cut off the silver horn and smiled tiredly. His hands were on the ground as he panted heavily. He moved his body, but it felt numb. Lin Feng closed his eyes and condensed his spirit energy, flowing through his meridians. In addition to attacking, spirit energy could also soothe his meridians, improve his blood circulation, and heal his muscles. What powerful electricity! Lin Feng smiled. It wasn't hard to kill the 2 advanced soldier-level Thunder Raccoons, but it took him a lot of effort to deal with the low-level commander-level Thunder Raccoon. Not only was it agile, but the horn on its forehead could release strong electricity. If he wasn't careful, he would be paralyzed. If it was a low-level Geno warrior with the aluminum heart, I would have lost. Lin Feng knew this very well. Compared to Geno warriors, elemental beasts were weaker. Only elite elemental beasts could compete with warriors of the same level. It's about time. Lin Feng moved his body and stood up. The effect of spirit energy was quite good. Looking at the broken D4 Geno armor on his body, Lin Feng couldn't help but smile bitterly. This was his first day of school. In that battle, he relied on spirit energy and the Geno boots to escape. In the end, he slowly killed more than a dozen elemental beasts, including 3 low-level beast generals, thanks to the D4 Geno armor's strong defense. After that, Lin Feng was more cautious than before. He lured elemental beasts one by one at the border of the ruined world. He didn't make any mistakes, and his pockets only became richer. Today's harvest should be over 80 silver coins. Lin Feng calculated inwardly. He had finally earned back his sister's medical fees. After deducting the 80 silver coins, he still had about 200 silver coins left, most of which he had earned in the past 3 days. Indeed, the ruined world was a treasure trove. It would be even if he wanted to enter the ruined world. It's time to go. Lin Feng gazed into the distance, his eyes filled with anticipation. The next time he came, he would truly enter the depths of the ruined world and not just wander around the border. This time, he wasn't strong enough. Plus, he only had 5 bottles of low-level Geno fluid left. Just as he was about to turn and leave, suddenly, Lin Feng's eyes lit up. He vaguely saw a white dot of light rush out of the ruined world. It was a white cicadere with a coral-like horn on its head. Its snow-white fur was clear and beautiful, but there were no small crystals. He could vaguely see a faint red color, like fresh blood from a wound. What? Lin Feng was shocked. An elite elemental beast, a low-level beast General Snow Light deer. Lin Feng took a deep breath. There were no crystals on its body. In other words, this Snow Light deer didn't have a magnesium crystal as its core. It had a magnesium core, a true elemental core. A D6 magnesium core, 40 gold coins on the market. An elite elemental beast crystal core is about 1/10 of its price, which is 4 gold coins, including the snow light deer's fur and coral-like horn. The total price is between 7 to 8 gold coins. Calculating quickly in his mind, Lin Feng's eyes lit up. Money. What he lacked the most right now was money. If he could kill this elite snow light deer, he could make a conservative estimate of 7 gold coins. Plus the 2 gold coins he earned before, he could buy 30 bottles of low-level Geno fluid, which was equivalent to a month's income for a low-level warrior general. The only question was, could he kill it? 50% chance. Lin Feng judged instantly and waved the saber in his hand. If he used heaven and earth energy, the chance of winning was less than 10%. But if he used spirit energy, he was confident that he could increase the chance of winning to 50%. And if he used the 9-dragon scripture, more than 80%. Plus, it might be injured. Lin Feng was secretly happy. He glanced at the snow light deer's fur and saw a faint red color, and it had inexplicably rushed out of the ruined world, probably because it was injured. There were no adventurer teams nearby, and no other elemental beasts. One-on-one. Let's end this quickly. Lin Feng judged instantly and rushed out like lightning. He couldn't miss this opportunity. Screech. A high-pitched cry. The sprinting elite snow light deer stopped instantly, and its eyes flashed. What was an elite elemental beast? Compared to normal elemental beasts, elite elemental beasts had intelligence. Almost instantly, the coral-like horn on the head of this white elite snow light deer lit up with a shocking white light. Chi! Chi! The magnesium beam shot out at an extremely fast speed. Compared to the Thunderbolt raccoon's electric attack, the magnesium beam was superior in terms of speed and attack range. One was close range, while the other was far range. Dance Charm Steps. Lin Feng didn't dare to be negligent and directly activated his spirit energy battle mode. The Dance Charm Steps were enhanced by the genetic battle boots, and he slowly approached the elite snow light deer while dodging. He clearly knew the snow light deer's weakness. Once he got close, his strength would be greatly reduced. But it wasn't that easy to get close to it. Chi! Chi! The magnesium beam shot out like a laser gun, and horrifying holes appeared on the ground. Lin Feng nimbly dodged. Screech! Another cry, and the elite snow light deer's body instantly turned snow white, and a light bloomed like the sun. Its speed was enhanced, and it ran wildly. While running, its coral-like horn didn't stop at all, and it continued to attack Lin Feng. The magnesium heart belonged to the light core type. The speed of light could be described in one word: fast. So fast, Lin Feng frowned, and his heart trembled. He originally thought that this elite snow light deer might be injured, but it didn't seem like it. Its speed was completely beyond that of a beginner beast general. His speed had increased by 1 level during this period, and he had reached the level of an advanced ancient warrior. Using spirit energy to increase his speed by 1 level and the genetic battle boots enhancement, he was at most a beginner warrior general. Compared to the elite snow light deer, he was slightly slower. If he couldn't get close to it, he would definitely lose. Lin Feng's eyes flashed. There was no other way. Chi! Chi! The elite snow light deer's coral-like horn kept emitting white light. It looked back as it ran, and there seemed to be a sneer in its eyes. It could naturally see this human's predicament. Want to chase it? If he wasn't fast enough, he would only be a live target. But in the next moment, the elite snow light deer's eyes shone with a cold light, and there was a hint of anxiety. In the blink of an eye, the human that it had looked down on exploded with terrifying speed, and it was several times faster than before. It attacked like lightning. The distance between them was shortened in an instant, and the elite snow light deer trembled all over. Screech! The elite snow light deer roared, and it exploded. Its long fur stood up, and the magnesium heart was pushed to the extreme. Not only did it run faster, but even the magnesium light beam emitted by the coral-like horn increased in frequency by several times. It sensed danger. Screech! What a terrifying magnesium light beam! Lin Feng's Geno armor was completely destroyed. Unable to dodge in time, his left arm was grazed by the magnesium light beam, and blood flowed out. The closer the distance, the harder it was to dodge. But at this moment, the arrow was already knocked on the bow, and it had to be released. Iron shirt, Jane. Lin Feng created another layer of defense outside his body. In the blink of an eye, a huge dragon head appeared behind him. The dragon's eyes shone brightly, and a dragon's roar resounded. Lin Feng's alloy saber let out a fierce clang and shot out like an arrow. Meteor strike. The attack was as fast as lightning, and the shadow of the katana disappeared. At this time, the elite snow light deer also attacked wildly. A magnesium light beam appeared in an instant, and it went straight for Lin Feng's left chest. There was no time to dodge. Pang! Lin Feng gritted his teeth and forced himself to move sideways. The iron shirt defense outside his body was instantly broken, and the magnesium light beam penetrated the Geno armor and went straight for his left shoulder. At the same time, Lin Feng's meteor-like attack landed on the elite snow light deer's neck. Boom! It was like thunder. The elite snow light deer's painful cry sounded in the wilderness. Nine Dragon Sutra, second level. Enduring the endless pain, Lin Feng took a step forward with his right foot, ignoring the fact that the magnesium light beam above his head was completely bright. Spirit chi flowed quickly, and the two giant dragons behind him opened their mouths, and the elite snow light deer's aura was completely suppressed in an instant. Meteor strike, third move, meteor fall. Lin Feng shouted, and the alloy katana exploded. His strongest move, blood splattered everywhere, and the alloy katana was also broken into pieces. Pong! The elite snow light deer fell to the ground, and its eyes were filled with fear and unwillingness. Its coral horn was filled with thick magnesium light, but it was too late to launch the final attack. Lin Feng's chest rose and fell rapidly, and the two dragon shadows behind him gradually disappeared. Huff, huff! Lin Feng's face was extremely pale. There was a huge bloody hole in his left shoulder, and a piece of his left arm had been cut off. The battle was too horrible to look at. It was a close call. That was close, Lin Feng thought to himself. He was almost forced into a desperate situation, and the elite snow light deer strength was far beyond his expectations. Fierce, calm, and the elite elemental beast strength was not inferior to a combat warrior of the same level. Just the final attack it wanted to gather was not something an ordinary combat warrior could do. But at the same time, he gained a lot. Lin Feng was very satisfied with this battle. The stronger the opponent, the stronger he could be, although it was beyond his expectations, and the elite snow light deer did not show any signs of injury. He still killed it in the end. Thinking of himself when he had just entered the wilderness half a month ago, and compared to now, Lin Feng could not help but smile. He was like a different person. Actual combat was the fastest way to improve one's strength. I have to hurry. To avoid any unexpected changes, Lin Feng endured the pain and took out another alloy katana to quickly cut off the coral horn. It was the snow-patterned fur on the elite snow light deer's back that was about to be cut. Lin Feng was suddenly startled. He pushed aside the snow-patterned fur and saw the faint red color again. It was what he thought before bloodstains. This is... Lin Feng was shocked. Chapter 47. It was indeed red. However, it wasn't blood. Instead, it looked like powder and tiny crystals. It was mixed in the thick fur of the elite snow light deer. From afar, it did look like bloodstains. Lin Feng took out a red crystal that was about 1/10 the size of his pinky nail. He focused his gaze and observed it carefully. Oh, is this an elemental crystal? It doesn't look like it. Regardless of whether it was an elemental crystal or an elemental heart, it was a whole. Furthermore, it was so fine that it was difficult to distinguish. Although Lin Feng was quite familiar with metal ores, it was limited to the various levels of elemental hearts that he knew. There were many minerals and fossils, including oxides, color-changing stones, and so on. It was too difficult to distinguish all of them. Moreover, the knowledge that he had learned in Jiayang District's Elementary Genetic Academy was only the basics. Let's put away first. Lin Feng made a prompt decision. His intuition told him that these powdery crystals were not ordinary. Lin Feng quickly put away all the fur and the red powder. He then took out the elite Snow Light deer's crystal heart and smiled. The total price was at least 7 gold coins. This time, he had made a huge profit. Not far away, in the ruined world, a 7-man adventurer team looked indignant. Among them, there was a female archer with an ice bow, a genetic warrior with an electromagnetic cannon, and an experienced hunter who was searching everywhere. In the middle, there was a man wearing Geno armor and holding a beam saber. He had 7 stars on his chest. It was a standard 7-man adventurer team. Can't you find that elite Snow Light deer? It was too chaotic just now. I accidentally let it run away. It's a pity. This elite Snow Light deer has quite a lot of rare earth elements. Forget it. At least we know that the rumors are not false. There really are rare earth elements in Ruin C02. As long as we can find even a small mineral vein, we will be rich. How much is a little bit worth? Let's go. Let's speed up. Don't let the other teams snatch it. At this moment, Lin Feng was walking towards the cave. That was his place of residence. There were no capsule alloy houses or military tents. Naturally, he had to choose a more secluded area to avoid unnecessary danger. Enduring the pain, Lin Feng pushed aside the dense weeds, moved the boulder away, and quickly returned to the cave. The Geno-nutrition cabin was opened, and Lin Feng immediately entered it. Compared to the healing effect of spirit energy, there was no doubt that the Geno-nutrition cabin was a level lower, but it was better than nothing. Feeling a cool sensation enter his body, the pain lessened by quite a bit. Lin Feng immediately used the flowing cloud art, but the spiritual energy in his body was extremely thin. It's actually gone, Lin Feng said helplessly. Normally, he used the flowing cloud art to circulate his spiritual energy, which was barely sufficient. However, using the 9-Dragon scripture, he had used up all of his spiritual energy in just 2 moves. The difference between them was huge. Relying too much on a 9-Dragon scripture is not a good thing. The genetic energy was slowly absorbed into his body. At this moment, Lin Feng's state of heart gradually calmed down as he carefully analyzed the battle earlier. Although it was a clean win, there were still many areas that could be improved. Heart incantations are of utmost importance. I have to change the flowing cloud art. It's not easy to get a yellow rank heart art. At the very least, I have to change to a first rank heart art. Lin Feng's mind appeared in the exchange space of the battle world, and he was certain. To an ancient martial artist, the most important thing was the heart incantations. Next, the battle saber. Lin Feng frowned slightly. Ever since he entered the wilderness, he had lost many of his alloy battle sabers. Especially in this battle, if he had a good battle saber, he might have been able to severely injure the elite Snow Light deer in the first move. Everything else, including chi, incantations, and movement techniques, was secondary. Heart incantations, battle saber. It was what he urgently needed at the moment. Lin Feng muttered in his heart. Then, he used the flowing cloud art to continue healing. A day later, it's about time. Lin Feng moved his arm. His left arm had almost recovered, but the injury on his left shoulder was not something that could be healed in a day or 2. However, it basically did not hinder him from fighting. Lin Feng slowly walked out of the cave and looked at the ruined world in the distance. His eyes were filled with longing and anticipation. This training was very fulfilling and satisfying for him. The only regret was that he still did not have enough strength to enter the ruined world, that place that made his blood boil. Wait for me. Next time, I will come again. Lin Feng's eyes twinkled. Leaving the cave, his figure slowly disappeared. Bang! Chi! Sword light flashed, and the energy of heaven and earth roared. In a wilderness full of weeds, there was a bloody battle going on. Dozens of chromium-killing rats were biting the 4 ancient martial artists crazily. Under the leadership of the chromium-killing rat leader, the dozens of chromium-killing rats seemed to have gone mad. Their 1-meter-long bodies were extremely agile, their teeth were sharp, and their claws were covered with sharp crystals. The 4 ancient warriors were seriously injured, especially the shortest one. His arms were full of bloody marks, and his thighs were dripping with blood. The most striking thing was that one of his ears was missing. The most miserable one was a woman with heavy makeup. Her elemental battle suit had been torn to pieces, and her body was exposed. There was a huge bloody hole in the left side of her chest. It was a horrible sight. A man with a crew cut was full of injuries. His eyes were bloodshot, but his fighting spirit did not diminish. These four ancient martial artists were the adventurer team that Li Min was in. Indeed, the wilderness was very safe. But that was only relative and not necessarily true. The number of ancient warriors who died in the wilderness every year was still quite large, but it paled in comparison to the ruins of the world. The most dangerous thing in the wilderness was not the high-level bee soldiers, but the elemental beasts that lived in groups, such as ants, insects, or rats. Damn it! Lei Bao held a big axe and hacked wildly, but he felt mentally and physically exhausted at the moment. These chromium rats were too cunning, and their attacking methods were even more tricky. Each of them was not strong, but together, they were everywhere. If they were not careful, they would be bitten. As their injuries became more serious, their situation became more and more bleak. "Boss, save me!" Hao Zi screamed. At this time, one of his eyes was bleeding, blinded by the chromium rat's claw. "I'm dead. I'm really going to die this time." Sister Jin's face was pale, and there was no trace of her previous arrogance. Half of her breast was bitten off, her buttocks were full of holes, and the worst thing was that her face was full of claw marks. The chromium rats like to attack places with a lot of meat. "Hold on. Don't give up. Someone will come to save us." Li Min screamed. His crystal watch kept flashing red. He had already pressed the button for help when he was in danger, but he did not know if anyone would come to save him. Most of the time, it was just an unspeakable, extravagant hope. After all, human nature was always selfish. But this time, the call for help seemed to have come in handy. Someone is coming. Someone is really coming. Sister Jean and Hao Zi's eyes lit up as they saw a figure rushing over from afar. The face, déjà vu? Offing. Li Min was instantly shocked. Seeing the familiar face and the tattered Geno armor, he knew it was Lin Feng, who was covered in blood. There was a gaping hole in his left shoulder. Li Min's eyes almost popped out of their sockets as he screamed, "Don't come here, Offing. Run." No way. The person they had been waiting for was a newbie who had just left the school and had a 0 adventurer level. Sister Jean, Hao Zi, and Lei Bao felt deep despair. Chapter 48. But in the next second, everyone was stunned. Chi, the E9 laser knife, flashed with an ordinary laser. Without the enhancement of the Heart of Elements, there was only the most ordinary genetic energy. Simple and unadorned. But it was clean and neat, as fast as cutting grass. Pung. Chi. Blood splashed. Lin Feng's steps were no longer as overbearing and strong as when he was a Geno warrior. Instead, there was a hint of gentleness in his steps. It seemed real and illusory, but it blended perfectly with the laser knife in his hand. Every slash was amazing, like a shooting star. The chromium rats seemed to have suddenly become stupid. They didn't know how to dodge at all. After 2 or 3 slashes, the chromium rats surrounding Li Min were all killed. The ground was covered with rat corpses. What? No way. Lei Bao and the others were all stunned. Li Min, who was out of danger, had a wooden expression on his face as he stood rooted to the ground. "Brotherly, back off." Lin Feng's eyes were shining. He didn't stop and went straight for the leader of the chromium rats. The chromium rats that had surrounded Lei Bao and the others were now all rushing toward Lin Feng. The rats were very cohesive. With the leader of the chromium rats as the leader, dozens of them were densely packed. Squeak, squeak. The creepy sound made by the chromium rats was very skillful, nimble, strange, and tricky. If it was Lin Feng who had just entered the wilderness, he could only fight head-on. But it was different now. Ta, ta, chi. As he stepped back, the knife was like a shooting star. With every step Lin Feng took back, several chromium rats were shot down in the air. Too fast. The knife was so fast that only a shadow could be seen. It complements each other. Lin Feng was pleasantly surprised. When he used Meteor again, the feeling was completely different. There is no end to learning. In the past, I always thought that 100% of Neo martial arts was perfect. But in fact, that's not the case. The so-called 100% is only the perfection of the form. The existence of the intent is the essence of the knife skill. Neo martial arts also had the existence of the intent. D1 Neo martial arts was equivalent to the first-class Heart Sutra of Paleo martial arts. Paleo martial arts emphasize intent, while Neo martial arts emphasize form. There's actually no difference between the two. To be precise, the combination of form and will is the true perfection. While Lin Feng was comprehending, more than half of the dozens of chromium-killing rats had been killed. The rat leader squeaked angrily, but the group of rats couldn't even get close to Lin Feng. The difference in strength was too great. For Lin Feng, who had the physical index of an advanced ancient warrior and had achieved rank 3 perfect sword technique, killing a mid-grade B soldier was naturally a piece of cake. Footwork is the same. The footwork of Neo martial arts focuses on effectiveness, speed, explosiveness, and attacks. However, the footwork of Paleo martial arts focuses on agility, dodging, gentleness, and continuous attacks. One is hardness, the other is softness. Only by combining hardness and softness can one achieve great success. While retreating, Lin Feng fiercely leaped forward. The leader of the chromicide rats was squeaking with anger in its eyes. Before it could react, Lin Feng's saber had already fallen like a meteor. D1 Neo martial art, Meteor 100%. The whole process took less than 10 seconds. The dozens of ferocious chromicide rats were all killed. Every chromicide rat's body on the ground was cleanly cut in half. From the beginning to the end, these chromicide rats, which were known for their agility and tricky attacks, couldn't even touch the corner of Lin Feng's clothes. Lei Bao and the others stared at Lin Feng with their mouths agape. They were so shocked that they couldn't speak. So strong that it was unbelievable. Gulp! Lei Bao swallowed his saliva. He remembered that he had rejected such a strong person in the adventurer's base. He felt a twinge of pain in his heart. Sister Jean and Hausie were severely injured. They had already collapsed on the ground. At this moment, their hearts were filled with regret. If Lin Feng was here, they wouldn't have ended up like this. Often, Li Min was a little dazed, as if he had fallen into a dream. Was this still the young man he knew 2 years ago? Are you okay, Brother Li? Lin Feng looked over. Brother Li, who was covered in blood, looked like a man made of blood, but his breath was still stable and strong. Oh, Li Min came back to his senses and showed a tired smile. It's nothing, just a small injury. That's good. Lin Feng smiled. From what he saw just now, although Brother Li's attack power wasn't strong, his cultivation of Qi art was quite good. In terms of defense, he was second only to their captain, Brother Lei. Thank you, Brother Lin, for your help. Lei Bao walked over with a smile. If there's nothing else, I'll take my leave first, Brother Li. Lin Feng said to Li Min, okay. Li Min nodded with a gratified smile. Lin Feng smiled and nodded at Lei Bao, who was walking towards him. He didn't say anything and instantly left like the wind. Lei Bao's mouth twitched. He was left there awkwardly. He frowned and immediately looked at Li Min. Min, why didn't you ask your little brother to stay? Yeah, Min, what do you think we should do if we run into the chromicide rats again? Hao Zi was in so much pain that he was grimacing. Sister Jin's face was pale. The pain made her unable to speak, but her eyes were full of anger and dissatisfaction when she looked at Li Min. Ask him to stay? I can't believe you guys can think of that. Li Min sneered and looked at everyone. Who said he was a kid and didn't bring him because he was a newcomer? Are you regretting it now? You're all shameless. These words made Lei Bao and the other two's faces turn ugly, but they couldn't refute it. There was no medicine for regret in this world. It was a small matter. If he could help, he would. When they entered the wilderness, Lin Feng avoided the ancient warrior team. When they returned, Lin Feng followed the ancient warrior team, which saved him a lot of effort. Speeding, Lin Feng returned to the adventurer's town safe and sound in less than a day. No wonder the smell of blood in the town is so strong. Lin Feng smiled. Looking at the Geno armor he was wearing, he knew the reason. It looked scary. If Yuer saw me, she wouldn't know what happened to me. Lin Feng walked into the adventurer's town and looked around. He muttered, I remember seeing a place to clean Geno armor and elemental armor before. I'll look for it later. Let's eat something first. He showered, changed, and ate something. In the adventurer's town, there was everything. Lin Feng didn't hold back. He spent a few copper coins to eat and then took back the Geno armor and elemental armor. He had to admit that the efficiency was amazing. The Geno armor and elemental armor that were covered in blood didn't smell at all. However, the damaged ones couldn't be repaired. The elemental armor is okay. It's not expensive to buy another one. Lin Feng walked to the elemental store. His elemental armor was given to him by the Ancient Warrior Alliance. It was the cheapest E9 and cost 20 silver coins. But this D4 Geno armor, it will cost a lot to completely repair it. Lin Feng calculated carefully. Although he had gained a lot in the past half a month and had even killed an elite snow light deer in the end, he had earned about 10 gold coins, which was equivalent to the monthly income of a basic warrior general. But he had spent more than that. Let's not count the cost of repairing the Geno armor. Just the basic Geno fluid. Lin Feng sighed. When he entered the wilderness, he had brought a total of 47 bottles of elementary gene fluid, but now he only had 2 bottles left. According to the market price of 30 silver coins per bottle, he had spent a total of 1,350 silver coins in this half a month. More than 13 gold coins. I can make ends meet. Lin Feng smiled bitterly and walked into the elemental store, feeling a little helpless. No matter what, he had to deal with the loot first. Chapter 49. Element Mall. Underground. Lin Feng followed the sign and walked down the stairs. There was a faint musky smell in the air, neutralizing the smell of beasts. Lin Feng's gaze swept across the surroundings. Everywhere he looked were warriors whose faces were flushed with excitement and joy. Basically, everyone who entered the underground level returned with a full load. It's so spacious. Lin Feng's eyes lit up when he entered the underground level. It was different from the bazaar that he had imagined. The entire underground level was in a huge fan shape. There were circles after circles with alloy walls in the middle. The outermost circle was shimmering with golden light. Not only were there guards at the entrance of the passageway, but there were also staff members standing outside every room. One layer inside was a silver ocean, and further inside, it was the main hall. Hello, adventurer. This way, please. A female receptionist smiled and gestured for him to enter. Lin Feng nodded and glanced over. Not far away, at the entrance of the second circle, a few adventurers in elemental battle suits were entering. The adventure badge on their chests had at least 4 stars. It seems that they're separated by the level of the adventurer. Lin Feng walked forward. Adventure badges with 4 stars were basically warriors. It was normal for them to receive better treatment. It was just like the difference between warriors and ordinary people. Hello. The total is 42 silver coins. Great. This way, we can each buy a bottle of ordinary Geno fluid. Lin Feng looked at the 4 young men beside him. They were about the same age as him, and they were very happy at the moment. They either had no stars or 1 star on their chests. Obviously, they were Geno warriors who had just graduated from the academy. For Geno warriors with ordinary family backgrounds, if they couldn't get into the 3 advanced academies, their future wouldn't be easy. So what if they cultivated faster than ancient warriors? They couldn't afford the Geno fluid without money. What could they do? Lin Feng felt the same way. So slow. A yawn came from behind, bringing with it the smell of alcohol. How can it not be slow? They're all kids who treat the iron crystal cores like treasures. Just counting them one by one will take a lot of time. Newbies are so troublesome, treating a few silver coins as treasures. Hey, the newbie in front of me. Have you seen the fur of a high-level B soldier? Have you seen gold coins? Make way for us, brothers. Let's broaden your horizons. His voice was filled with disdain, attracting the gazes of the crowd. They were 3 burly men. They were all 3-star adventurers, the highest level adventurers in the main hall. If you think it's too slow, go to the VIP area. That's right. Even if you don't have a 4-star rating, it's fine if you have a transaction that costs more than 10 gold coins. Why bother queuing up with us newbies? Stop pretending. Voices rose and fell one after another. Even if they were newcomers here, they had all experienced the tempering of slaughter, so they were naturally not to be outdone. Lin Feng smiled. There were all kinds of birds in the forest, and the smell of alcohol behind him was so strong. It was obvious that these 3 adventurers had gained a lot and were overjoyed. "Hey, brat, what are you laughing at?" One of the burly men patted Lin Feng's shoulder with a ruffian attitude. Lin Feng frowned. He instantly activated his qi, and with a pung, he deflected the man's hand. F*CK. A curse came from behind. "All right, Demao, don't cause trouble here," another man said in a deep voice. "Hey!" The burly man called Demao had a fierce look on his face. "Brat, if you have the guts, let's go to the wilderness and have a duel. I'll F*King kick your balls." Fighting was prohibited in any part of the adventurer's town. This was an area under the jurisdiction of the army. In ancient Huaxia, the army was a very powerful force. "Hello, adventurer." A staff member wearing glasses in front of him smiled. "Hello." Lin Feng smiled back. He immediately sat down and took out the E-grade crystal core from his crystal watch's storage space. Voila! Immediately, it piled up like a mountain. The surrounding people's gazes gathered. They looked at the metal on Lin Feng's chest and were slightly surprised. "Newbie?" "TSK." A disdainful voice came from behind him. The staff member had a smile on his face. He wasn't in a hurry. His fingers moved quickly, and he quickly began to count the crystals. Suddenly, he was slightly startled. The staff member's index finger lightly pushed up his glasses. His face was serious as he took out a slightly larger crystal core from the pile. He looked at Lin Feng and said, "An E6 iron crystal core. Did you personally hunt this?" The surrounding people immediately went into an uproar. Although it was E-grade, an E6 represented a low-level beast general. A newbie hunting a low-level beast general? "Do you have a video recording?" The staff member asked seriously. "No, this shouldn't affect the sale." Lin Feng indifferently replied. He was clear about the rules of the Adventurers Alliance. To increase the star level of the Adventurers medal, one must record a video of killing an elemental beast and submit it to the Adventurers Alliance for evaluation. It wasn't something that could be done as one wished. Therefore, the value of the Adventurers medal was widely recognized. "It doesn't affect it." The staff member smiled indifferently. "I'm just mentioning it in passing. If you have a video recording, you can increase the medal's level to 4 stars. Then next time, you won't have to wait in line. Our staff member will directly bring you to the VIP area." Lin Feng nodded. "I understand. I wonder where he picked it up." "Yeah, he must have hit the jackpot." The 3 burly men's mutterings came from behind him, but their voices were much softer than before. The staff member quickly lowered his head again to count the crystals. Following the appearance of one E6 crystal core after another, the surrounding people were completely silent. Even the 3 burly men's faces were extremely unsightly, green and white. One E6 crystal core might be good luck, but what about 10 or 20? Could it still be luck? Not long after, the staff member finished sorting out the crystals. He raised his head and smiled. "Hello. The total is 45 silver coins and 39 copper coins. And these..." Lin Feng took out another small pile of crystal cores. The color and luster were clearly different from before, including some scattered items such as fur, teeth, horns, and so on. The surrounding people suddenly gasped. The crystal cores were hard to distinguish, but the adventurers could recognize the materials on these elemental beasts. The horn of Thunderclap Raccoon. Really, isn't that only a general-level Thunderclap Raccoon has? And the venomous fangs of a Foglight Snake. In this hall, these were extremely rare. Basically, they were all low-level, general-level materials. The 3 burly men were already dumbfounded, and most of their drunkenness had already sobered up. Especially the burly man named Mao, who looked at Lin Feng's back. At this moment, he was as tall as a mountain. His whole body trembled, and he wished he could slap himself twice. What did he just say? Hello, the total is 255 silver coins and 80 copper coins. The staff member said seriously. Including the crystal cores from before, the total transaction is 301 silver coins and 19 copper coins. Lin Feng softly nodded. It was about the same as his calculation. He was very clear about the price of the crystal cores, and only the materials on the elemental beasts fluctuated. There was a huge difference between E rank and D rank. To put it simply, it was the difference between the wilderness and the ruined world. A high-level ancient warrior could only hunt in the wilderness and earn an average of 1 gold coin a month. On the other hand, a beginner ancient warrior could enter the wasteland world and earn at least 10 gold coins a month. If they discovered metal or veins, crystal elemental hearts, etc., they would become rich overnight. As for himself, he had only entered the ruined world for a few days. It was already good enough that he could earn so much. Furthermore, there's also this. Lin Feng took out the D6 magnesium crystal core. In an instant, it shone brightly, and all the tables that were originally in the middle of the transaction stopped. Everyone's gazes converged, and they swallowed their saliva. The 3 burly men behind Lin Feng stared with their eyes wide open. What was that? A low-level, general-level, elemental beast. It can't be. The burly man named him Mao's hands and feet turned cold, and he was extremely shocked. An adventurer who could kill a low-level elite beast general was definitely a 5-star level expert. He was just a 3-star adventurer. If he met such a person on a normal day, he would be too late to flatter him. He actually dared to provoke him. He really didn't know how to write the word death. Instantly, they broke out in cold sweat. The 3 burly men were completely sober. Their eyes were filled with fear and panic as they looked at Lin Feng's back. Their legs trembled, and they staggered backward. How could they care about their reputation? They ran faster than rabbits. No one paid attention to them, because everyone's attention was on Lin Feng, who had an adventurer meta level of 0. Coral Lighthorn. Heavens, it's an elite-level snow light deer. That snow light long fur. HM? Unfortunately, it seems to be stained with blood. This is... The staff member's expression suddenly changed. Almost like a sudden clap of thunder, the staff member put away all the transaction items on the table and stood up respectfully. This way, please, esteemed guest. Lin Feng was slightly suspicious, but he still nodded. Following the staff member, Lin Feng slowly walked into the VIP area under the envious and shocked gazes of the adventurers in the hall. Chapter 50. The VIP area only accepted 4-star adventurers and above. Of course, there was a special exception. I'm sorry, dear customer. Because of the rules of our market, we can't carry out transactions with a unit price of more than 10 gold coins. Please forgive us. A man in a suit smiled at Lin Feng and gestured for him to take a seat. A unit price of more than 10 gold coins? Lin Feng was slightly startled and slowly sat down. As far as he knew, no matter how valuable the materials of the elite snow deer were, together with the D6 magnesium crystal core, it couldn't exceed 10 gold coins, right? Moreover, what he said was a unit price. All right. Lin Feng's expression did not change as he nodded. He also wanted to see what was going on. The man in the suit completely ignored the magnesium crystal core and coral horn. His eyes flashed as he took out an alloy sheet as thin as a cicada's wing. He gently brushed aside the long hair of the snow and scraped the red powder into the silver container. His movements were gentle, as if he was protecting his lover, afraid of hurting it. Whoosh! Lin Feng's eyes flashed. So it was this. This red powder didn't seem to be simple. The man in the suit took out a magnifying glass and examined it carefully. He murmured, "It's really a heavy, rare earth element. This should be erbium. Yes, erbium. Rare earth element? And it's a heavy, rare earth element." Lin Feng's heart was filled with shock, but his expression did not change much. He naturally knew what rare earth elements were. They were the main materials for making gene fluids and energy capsules. They were extremely rare and precious. However, the types of rare earth elements weren't mentioned in the Academy's curriculum. He only knew that they were divided into light rare earth elements and heavy rare earth elements. Heavy rare earth elements were more expensive than light rare earth elements, 10 times more expensive. A unit price of more than 10 gold coins. Lin Feng's eyes flashed. The man in the suit quickly completed the appraisal and then put the silver container into a super brain machine. A bright white light condensed and enveloped the silver container. Ding! With a soft sound, Lin Feng looked at the super brain screen. The number 24 clearly appeared on the screen. Dear customer, the heavy rare earth element erbium is 24 grams in total. Our market's purchase price is 2 gold coins per gram. The man in the suit showed a professional smile. Are you willing to sell? Lin Feng was surprised. 24 grams, 2 gold coins per gram, wouldn't that be 28? 8 gold coins. Pung. Lin Feng was unable to calm down. It was close to 30 gold coins. A mid-level ancient martial artist who risked his life in the ruined world would only earn about 30 gold coins a month. He casually picked up a bit of powder, which turned out to be heavy rare earth elements. Each gram was worth 2 gold coins. Unbelievable. Seeing Lin Feng's hesitant expression, the suited man smiled and said, Customer, you can rest assured that our elemental shopping center doesn't cheat anyone, and our prices are fair. Moreover, if you are willing, I can raise the adventure medal to 4 stars for you and give you a VIP card for a 10% discount in the Elemental Mall. In the future, you can get a 10% discount in any Elemental Mall. Oh, Lin Feng's eyes brightened. He didn't expect that he would be able to reap a lot of benefits while he was distracted. The adventure medal was secondary to him, but this VIP card for a 10% discount was very unusual. Okay, help me do it. Lin Feng didn't stand on ceremony. He immediately took off the adventure medal and handed it over along with a martial crystal. Okay, please wait for a moment. The suited man bowed slightly and left. After a while, this is your adventure medal. The suited man smiled and handed it over with both hands. This is an anonymous card from the First Bank of Huaxia. It has been bound to your martial crystal. This transaction is 95 gold coins in total. We have deposited 39 gold coins for you. And this is the Elemental Mall's VIP card. This is my business card. If you need anything, you can come to me at any time. Lin Feng reached out and took them one by one. The words Deputy Manager Su Wenhua were printed on the top of the business card. Lin Feng immediately put on the crystal watch, scanned the QR code, and stored it in the crystal watch. Deputy Manager. It wasn't a bad thing to get to know more people. After leaving the VIP room, the feeling was completely different. Lin Feng looked at the adventure medal on his chest. It had changed from light gray to bright silver. 4 stars represented the strength of a beginner warrior. When he returned to the Elemental Mall, Lin Feng could clearly feel the changes in the gazes around him. There was more attention, and all kinds of curiosity and respect were gathered. It's a little too ostentatious. Lin Feng smiled and took off the medal. The medal represented strength and identity. It was difficult for an 18-year-old 4-star adventurer to not attract attention. 39 gold coins. TSK. Lin Feng smiled and shook his head. Although it was still a far cry from his goal of 100 gold coins, it was a timely reign at the moment. Not only could he pay off his debt and repair his Geno armor, but he could also buy a considerable amount of beginner Geno fluid. Previously, he was worried that money couldn't keep up with his cultivation speed. Now half of it was solved. How should he spend this windfall? Lin Feng wouldn't be so stupid as to deposit the money in the bank. Spend. Arm himself and increase his strength as much as possible. Then, he could earn more money. Money was just a number in the bank. He had to make the best use of it. The first thing he did was to buy a battle sword. This was the top priority that Lin Feng ranked in the top 2. He really wanted one, a handy battle sword. Blue Wolf D1 alloy battle sword. If a worker wanted to do a good job, he must first sharpen his tools. Having suffered from a battle sword before, Lin Feng naturally remembered it in his heart. Either he didn't buy it, or he would buy a good one. This Blue Wolf battle sword is mainly light and fast, but it can withstand extreme pressure. Its sharpness is enough to cut through the defense of a high-level elite beast general. Lin Feng waved the battle sword in his hand. It made a rustling sound like a wolf howling. It was quite easy to use. He liked it when he first saw it in the mall. Although it was expensive, Lin Feng gritted his teeth and bought it. In the battle with the elite snow deer, if I had this, Lin Feng gently stroked the blade of the blue wolf battle sword. His eyes were filled with fighting spirit. With the first meteor strike, I could have cut the elite snow deer's throat. Lin Feng was full of confidence. For an ancient warrior, the importance of a weapon was self-evident. Whether it was smooth, sharp, and even if it felt right, it would affect the performance of one's strength. D4 Geno Armor Repair, 2 gold coins. Volkswagen C7 Standard 1. 2 gold coins. 90 bottles of basic Geno fluid, 27 gold coins. Lin Feng spent the money he had just earned to his heart's content. Other than the D4 Geno Armor Repair, everything else was expected. However, when he thought about the D4 Geno Armor's price of 6 gold coins in the mall, Lin Feng understood. His Geno Armor was in such a bad state. It was good enough to spend 1/3 of the price to repair it. As for the 90 bottles of basic Geno fluid, it seemed like a lot, but it was only 1 month's worth. Lin Feng felt helpless. The amount of Geno fluid he used was definitely a huge scam. Fortunately, I have a VIP card with a 10% discount. Lin Feng walked out of the Elm Mall. The original total was 42 gold coins, which was even more than the amount in his bank account. However, after the 10% discount, it was 18 gold coins. He still had 82 gold coins left in his card, which saved him 4 gold coins. An ordinary ancient warrior might not be able to earn that much in 4 years. 82 gold coins. That's enough. Lin Feng did not care about spending all his money. If he could earn 39 gold coins this time, next time, it would only be more, not less. Time to go home. I wonder how you is doing at school. Lin Feng smiled, his eyes filled with longing. Whoosh! The light from the crystal became solid. Lin Feng jumped on the Volkswagen C7 and left. Chapter 51. Jiayang District's Elementary Genetic Academy. It's the end of the month. Lin Feng sat in a coffee shop outside the academy, looking at the academy's entrance through the floor-to-ceiling glass. His memories seemed to have returned to the past. Once upon a time, his elder brother also liked to sit here and wait for him. The end of every month was a holiday for the academy. When he was young, he was the happiest when he saw his elder brother. When he returned home, his mother would have already prepared a sumptuous dinner. At that time, his younger sister was still very young. Now, it was as if a cycle had passed. Elder brother, where are you? Lin Feng's eyes were a little blurry. If he didn't see his elder brother's corpse for a day, he wouldn't believe that his elder brother had died. He must have encountered some matters and temporarily lost contact with him. Scenes of the past appeared in his mind, and Lin Feng's lips curled up slightly. Elder brother, do you know that I'm already 18 years old? Not only did I enter the wilderness, I even went to the ruins. You might not believe it, but I even killed an elite-level elementary beast general. It's true. His voice was soft and filled with longing. To Lin Feng, his elder brother wasn't just an elder brother. He was like a father. Wait for me, elder brother. Lin Feng's smile gradually disappeared, and his blurry eyes gradually became clear. Very soon, I'll come and find you. Definitely. Lin Feng's fists were already tightly clenched, and his eyes were filled with determination and persistence. If he didn't give up, there would always be hope. Ring, ring within the academy. A clear and loud sound rang out, causing one to feel relaxed and happy. Lin Feng smiled as he looked forward. Students were streaming out one after another, reuniting with their long-awaited family members. He could feel the warmth in his heart. Lin Feng's vision was extremely sharp. Even in the dense crowd, he could easily find Yuer's figure. At this moment, his crystal watch vibrated slightly. Lin Feng glanced at it. It was a message from his younger sister. The little lass looked around, and her big eyes quickly found him. She waved happily. Lin Feng was about to stand up when his eyes suddenly lit up. In the dense crowd on the left side of the academy, 2 men in elemental suits behaved strangely. They wore sunglasses and looked in the direction of their sister from time to time. whispering to each other. Go home alone. Lin Feng turned on his crystal watch. Outside the academy, his excited little sister frowned when she saw the message. Although she was a little puzzled, she still did as she was told. Turning on the crystal watch, sat on the high-end Volkswagen C7. In a split second, she attracted many envious gazes from the surroundings. As expected, Lin Feng's eyes flashed. His figure was like a ghost, disappearing from the coffee shop in an instant. "What should we do?" the short man asked. "What can we do?" The tall man in sunglasses looked displeased. "There are sky eyes everywhere here. Can we do it?" The short man in sunglasses mumbled. "Driving a hover car, there's even less chance." "Enough." The tall man in sunglasses frowned and said, "We're just doing a job. Are we really going to risk our lives for others? That girl's brother is no pushover. He even destroyed young Master Shi's thing. In the end, what can he do to him? I heard that even Inspector Zhong came that time, but he has the support of Battle College." Sigh. The short man in sunglasses sighed and said, "When we get back, we can't avoid a scolding." "Forget it. I can understand." The tall man in sunglasses sneered and said, "In the future, he won't be so valiant and high-spirited. Any other man would probably go crazy." "That's true." Laughing, the two jumped on the magnetic hover car. Whoosh. They left in a split second. Swoosh. A faint shadow slowly appeared from the corner. Looking in the direction the two left, Lin Feng's eyes sparkled. He naturally knew who the young Master Shi the two bodyguard were talking about was, and even more clearly knew what their target was. His eyes flashed, and Lin Feng's face was cold. He expected it. He really won't give up just like that. Lin Feng knew Shi Wenlong's character like the back of his hand. This kind of person was like a jackal and had no bottom line at all. Being kind to him was being cruel to oneself and to the people around you. Don't implicate family members. This was the iron law of the world of martial artists. In the world of martial artists, there were many personal grudges, but everyone had a debtor. No one would target the defenseless old, weak, women, and children. After all, everyone had family members. Only one kind of person didn't care. Cold-blooded. In their hearts, family members could be used and betrayed, so they would do anything by hook or by crook. Shi Wenlong, I won't give you any chance. People like you deserve to die. Lin Feng sped away, carrying with him a faint murderous aura. Before entering the wilderness, his strength wasn't enough, but after half a month of training, the current him, he had been reborn. Beat him at his own game and lure the snake out of its hole. Lin Feng had plenty of ways to deal with Shi Wenlong. Just by relying on the 3 iron laws of the ancient martial artist alliance, he could make Shi Wenlong suffer a big setback. But this wasn't the best way, because the Shi family was very rich, and they had a close relationship with the police in Jiayang district. Even if the plan succeeded, they might not be able to sentence Shi Wenlong to death, not to mention that there were many tricks involved. Black could be turned into white. Moreover, money made the world go round. The Shi family could easily find a scapegoat. It wouldn't be difficult to save Shi Wenlong's life. Killing isn't the best way to solve problems, but it's definitely the cleanest way. Lin Feng's killing intent was very firm. He had said before that he wouldn't let his sister suffer any more harm. Absolutely not. Ambush. Lin Feng was like a cheetah waiting for an opportunity to come. Barging into the high-end garden bungalow, Lin Feng naturally wouldn't do such a foolish thing. The patrolling guards, the Shi family's bodyguards, the wireless sky eye, and all kinds of unknown defense forces in the mansion. Even if he could barge in and kill Shi Wenlong in one move, Lin Feng was sure that he wouldn't be able to come out once he entered. Sacrificing his life for Shi Wenlong, it wasn't worth it. Let's see how long you can endure. Lin Feng wasn't in a hurry. He had never lacked patience. Lin Feng didn't dare to say anything about others, but he knew Shi Wenlong's character very well. This pampered young master had never been someone who could endure loneliness. At most, the mansion only had delicacies and virtual online games. How could it compare to the colorful and varied world outside? Bar KTV, golf course, or private club? Lin Feng smiled calmly. He had the pearl of wisdom in his hands. He was sure that he wouldn't need 7 days. The first day was peaceful. The second day was still peaceful. The guards patrolled in an orderly manner, and the wireless sky monitored without any blind spots. The security in the high-end garden bungalow was indeed top-notch. On the third day, after Anakata C3 left with many bodyguards, there was a commotion in the garden bungalow. Shi Wenlong's roar could be heard from afar. The wild horse is finally going to break free. Lin Feng's eyes flashed. The one who left just now should be Shi Wenlong's father, the famous tycoon Shi Zhong. No wonder Shi Wenlong was so peaceful these days. He must have been grounded. As soon as his father left, Shi Wenlong came back to life. Lin Feng's eyes were fixed on the garden bungalow. He saw a red car fly out with a whoosh. 2 Dongli D6 behind it quickly chased after it. Subich B9. It's his car. Lin Feng's heart skipped a beat. Whoosh. Lin Feng quickly jumped into the Volkswagen C7 and chased after the car. Here's my chance. Chapter 52. Longhao Club. It was as dazzling as a palace castle. The receptionists and maids were all dressed neatly in their suits. The security guards were even more meticulous as they maintained order and monitored every suspicious person. Outside the club's entrance, the sky eyes scanned the area like an eagle's eyes, not leaving a single gap. A private club. Lin Feng looked at the club from afar. He had heard of Longhao Club before. It was one of the top private clubs in Jiayang District with a real-name membership system. It catered to the rich and powerful. Those without sufficient status could forget about entering. There aren't many chances. Shi Wenlong must have bodyguards following him. Once he leaves, he will take a maglev car. To kill him, this is already the best chance. But first, I have to sneak in. Lin Feng nodded inwardly. The easiest way to get into this kind of real-name membership system was get someone to bring him in. Young Master Wang Yi? The manager was stunned. Why? Am I not welcome? The young man called young Master Wang. He was drunk as his eyes widened. No, you're welcome. The manager hurriedly put on a smile. I just didn't expect you to come back. I don't know if you want to go to a strip club or a place of debauchery, or do you want to continue the roulette just now? The second round has just begun. The manager lowered his voice. No need. Give me a private room. I want some peace and quiet. Wang, he waved his hand impatiently. No problem. This way, please, young Master Wang. The manager's face was blooming with smiles. He bowed and led the way. He casually glanced at the bodyguards beside Wang Yi. They were all bruised and swollen. He didn't pay them much attention and entered with a smile. Bam! The door of the private room closed. Wang Yi, who was still awe-inspiring a moment ago, suddenly looked like a frightened rabbit. He trembled as he looked at one of the bodyguards. Don't worry, I won't hurt you, as long as you cooperate. Among the group of bruised and swollen bodyguards, an average-looking bodyguard spoke calmly. His temperament was completely different. There was a faint murderous aura around him. Just by standing there, one could almost smell the stench of blood on his body. After more than half a month of training in the wilderness, Lin Feng had undergone a huge transformation in all aspects. He glanced at Wang Yi and saw that the latter's face was filled with shock. Help me do something. Find Shi Wenlong's location. Then you'll be free. Lin Feng said calmly. On the night of the club, it was not the wine that made one drunk, but the wine that made one drunk. The men's howls and the women's moans were accompanied by the sound of close breathing, arousing the most primitive desires. The magical lights illuminated the corners of the club, but no one noticed a black shadow moving like a ghost in the corridor. V44. It's here. Lin Feng's eyes flashed. At the end of the corridor was a large private room. Alloy walls. Lin Feng thought to himself. The material of the door was exactly the same as the one in his cultivation room. It was an alloy wall that even high-level genetic warriors couldn't break through. There were 6 bodyguards in front of the door. 2 of them were smoking at the side, 2 were chatting, and the last 2 were standing straight. All of them were wearing elemental armor. Judging from their aura, they were all ancient warriors. Their strength was unknown, but most of them were beginner ancient warriors. 6. In other words, there are 3 more in the room. Lin Feng was tempted. Although it was only a split second earlier, including Sherwin Long, there were 3 cars and 10 people. How could they escape Lin Feng's astonishing dynamic vision? They are quite cautious. The strength of the 3 people in the box is obviously stronger than the 6 people outside. The old man I killed last time was an intermediate ancient warrior. This time, the one protecting Sherwin Long is most likely a high-level ancient warrior. In Lin Feng's eyes, Shi Zhong's bodyguards appeared. There was only a bald man that made him feel slightly apprehensive. He was a warrior general, but there was no such expert among Shi Wenlong's bodyguards. The cultivation of an ancient warrior was to sense the world. The higher one's cultivation, the clearer one's perception of things would be. Even if there is a beginner warrior general, I might not lose. Holding the ash wolf saber, Lin Feng was confident that he could fight against a beginner warrior general with average strength. However, such experts were extremely expensive. Not many people in a small district like Jiayang District could afford to hire them. Let's begin. Wearing the human skin mask, Lin Feng's expression was ice cold. There was no need to hide his killing intent. Let's end this quickly. Outside the V-44 room. Old Liu, how do you think the young master is going to play without that thing? How would I know? F***CK. The 3 girls inside are moaning so excitedly. They're burning me up. Haha, then you Poochie. Blood splattered everywhere. 2 pairs of eyes were filled with shock, but they had already been killed. The 2 bodyguards guarding the door heard the sound and turned their heads. Their pupils instantly dilated. Before they could react, a black shadow flashed past them. Chi! With just 1 slash, the saber slashed past their waists. Hua! The scene in front of them was a bloody blur. Phew! The 2 bodyguards furthest away didn't even have time to exhale the smoke. In the next moment, a shadow flashed through the air. The 2 bodyguards didn't even have time to make a sound before they fell into a pool of blood. Lin Feng's figure leaped lightly. Looking at the door of the room, the ash wolf saber in his hand condensed light. Lin Feng roared, tiger-slaying saber technique, bone-shattering. Bang! With a violent explosion, the door made of alloy walls shattered. This time, the alarm let out an ear-piercing sound and instantly sounded. The entire Longhao club was shaken. However, to Lin Feng, he had expected this. Chi! Chi! A saber and a sword suddenly attacked as the door collapsed. They attacked from above and below. The 2 bodyguards roared and charged out of the room, but there was no one in front of them. Oh no! The 2 bodyguards instantly reacted, but in the next second, they were hit by a sharp pain. They watched in horror as their bodies separated from their bodies and their consciousness disappeared. Rumble. The surrounding walls of the room were still shaking. Lin Feng stepped into the room with the ash wolf saber in hand. The scene in the room was unobstructed. He saw Shi Wenlong's naked body with a strange object under him. On the large round bed, 3 naked bodies were intertwined. They looked at him with extreme fear. In an instant, they hugged each other tightly and let out ear-piercing screams. Whoosh! Lin Feng exerted force with his right foot and fiercely rushed forward. Shi Wenlong's eyes widened in horror, but he revealed a sinister smile. Whoosh! A black shadow strangely appeared at the top of the room. The dagger in his hand flashed with an emerald green light, like a dark, venomous snake spitting out its tongue. Its speed was extremely fast, and it fully displayed the art of sneak attack. From top to bottom, it went straight for the top of Lin Feng's head. But while Lin Feng's body leaned forward, but instead of moving forward, he moved back. The shadow remained in place, but the ash wolf saber in Lin Feng's hand was already emitting a shocking cold light. No! The black shadow's voice was heart-wrenching, but there was nowhere to hide. In front of the monstrous light of the saber, the ash wolf saber was like tofu, unable to withstand a single blow. Roar! Like the howl of a wolf, Lin Feng's saber was as fast as a shooting star, killing the black shadow in one strike. High-level ancient warrior? So what? Die! Lin Feng's voice was like a bell from hell. Without the protection of his bodyguards, Shi Wenlong was just an ant in front of him. His twisted expression and the flickering of genetic energy were like an ant trying to resist with all its might, but in the face of a terrifying attack, it was not worth mentioning. A month ago, they were still on the same level. But now, it was like the difference between a firefly and the bright moon. Cheat. A clean slash. Lin Feng's killing intent was absolute. Shi Wenlong dead. Bang! Shi Wenlong fell into a pool of blood. His eyes were filled with fear and unwillingness. Lin Feng, who was wearing a human skin mask, was expressionless. His ears twitched, and he glanced behind him. The ash wolf saber in his hand swung out again. Kacha! The tempered glass of the room suddenly shattered. Lin Feng jumped out, and his vigorous figure instantly disappeared into the darkness. Here! Here! Outside the room, voices came. A large number of guards and security guards quickly rushed in. Seeing the bloody corpses on the floor, their faces turned ugly. Something big happened. Chapter 53. Strength was the most important thing. Lin Feng sat in the hover car, traveling in the night. His elder brother had taught him since he was young that to protect himself and his family, he had to be stronger and more ruthless than others. This was a world where the strong preyed on the weak. No one would pity the weak. I wonder how long I can hide this. Lin Feng looked out of the window, his eyes sparkling. Although the plan to kill Shi Wenlong was perfect, there were still many flaws. For example, he couldn't escape the surveillance outside the club and the 3 women on the round bed. However, it was impossible to rely on the law to convict him. They couldn't find any evidence. Moreover, I used the strength of an ancient martial artist. In reality, my identity is bound to the battle crystal. I am a student of the genetic warrior branch of the combat college. Lin Feng was very clear. It was impossible for them not to suspect him. No matter how meticulous he was, the Shi family would definitely suspect him. It was better to use the strength of an ancient martial artist to confuse them for a while. When his mind expanse broke through 20% and he became an ancient martial general, his strength would definitely increase by leaps and bounds. There was nothing to fear from the Shi family. No matter what, once Shi Wenlong is dead, you will be safe. As for myself, Lin Feng smiled. This was enough. Even if he might encounter more trouble and danger, what did it matter? Nothing was perfect in this world. Damn it. Damn it, I'm so unlucky. A man wearing a noble elemental beast leather coat had a gloomy and ugly expression. He was the boss of the Longhao Club, Long Wei. People called him Master Long. He was considered rich in Jiaoyang district, but this time he was slapped in the face. In his club, the young master of the Shi family, Shi Wenlong, and 9 bodyguards were all killed. Every one of them was killed with a single stab. I don't know how the young master of the Shi family provoked this fiend. Long Wei cursed in his heart, but he could only sigh at his bad luck. After such a thing happened, even if his club didn't stop business, business would plummet. As for pursuing the matter, he wasn't that stupid. Businessmen sought wealth, not fame. The death of the young master of the Shi family had nothing to do with him. At this moment, swoosh, swoosh, an Akatasi 3 sped over and stopped outside the club, followed by 4 Northwind C9s and dozens of police cars. A middle-aged man with deep bloody sorrow in his eyes staggered out of the car, followed by a bald man. The adventure medal on the elemental battlesuit was a 4-star one. A man with brown eyebrows who was 185 meters tall also got out of the police car. Jiaoyang Police District Inspector, Zhong Lei. Uncle Shi. Zhong Lei nodded. Shi Zhong's face was solemn, and he didn't say a word. His eyes were bloodshot, and if you looked closely, you could see that his body was trembling. Long Wei naturally did not dare to be negligent, and hurriedly went up to meet him. Who's the murderer? Shi Zhong hissed. It's an ancient martial artist wearing a human skin mask, Long Wei said. We're still investigating his identity. Shi Zhong glared at Long Wei, his anger rising. You're a private club, but the security measures are useless. My son was killed, and you're telling me that you don't even know the identity of the murderer. You can't say that, Master Shi. Long Wei did not give in at all. He frowned and said, Your precious son offended someone. How can you blame me? That's an ancient martial, general-level powerhouse. If he wanted to kill someone, even I, Long Wei, wouldn't be able to avoid it. An ancient martial, general-level powerhouse. Shi Zhong, Zhong Lei, and the four-star bodyguard beside them all changed their expressions. Uncle Shi, why don't we go inside and take a look first? Zhong Lei suggested. Shi Zhong's anger still hadn't subsided. Long Wei, lead the way, Zhong Lei shouted. No problem, Inspector Zhong. Long Wei nodded. In the screening room, Shi Zhong, Zhong Lei, and the bald four-star bodyguard stared at the screen, which was playing a video. From Lin Feng breaking in, killing 2 mid-level ancient martial artists, and then killing a high-level ancient martial artist, to jumping out of the window. The whole process was smooth and took only a few seconds. Although there was some frame-skipping interference, it was basically very clear. This is a total of 3 memory camera recordings. They were taken from the brainwaves of 3 young ladies who witnessed the incident, Long Wei said in a deep voice. It can be seen that the murderer is wearing a human skin mask and has a standard build. Judging from his ability to break the alloy wall and kill the high-level ancient martial artist in seconds, he is at least a beginner ancient martial general. Ching, what do you think? Shi Zhong's expression was ugly. He is very strong. The 4-star bodyguard, Lu Cheng, had a burning gaze. Judging by his skin, he is not old, but he has rich combat experience and his movements are seasoned and skilled. Even I may not be able to win against such an opponent. He is a beginner ancient martial general. Zhong Lei muttered. His physical index is average and weak, but his sword technique is very terrifying. Staring at the screen and looking at the figure holding the sword, Zhong Lei frowned. The more he looked at him, the more familiar he felt. Where had he seen him before? Suddenly, a figure appeared in his mind. Zhong Lei was startled. Inspector Zhong seems to have a clue. Lu Cheng's gaze was very sharp. Shi Zhong's expression changed, and he immediately looked at Zhong Lei. Very similar. I mean, the body shape is very similar. Zhong Lei dragged the progress bar and watched the video over and over again. His expression was serious. It can be said to be exactly the same, but I don't think it can be him. The murderer used the energy of heaven and earth, not a gene warrior. Moreover, the murderer is much stronger than him. Oh, Shi Zhong looked puzzled. He frowned and hissed. Are you referring to the Lin Feng who injured Wenlong? Zhong Lei nodded. Wenlong hates Lin Feng to the core, and so does Lin Feng. If I had not arrived in time last time, Wenlong would have been killed by him. In terms of motive, this Lin Feng is the most suspicious. Moreover, Lin Feng also uses a sword, but go and investigate. Shi Zhong gritted his teeth and roared. Investigate carefully, even if it is just the slightest suspicion. No matter how much money it costs, I would rather kill the wrong person than let him go. I will never let Wenlong die in peace. Zhong Lei's expression was solemn. He nodded and said, Leave this matter to me, Uncle Shi. I promise to give you an answer. After a pause, Zhong Lei hesitated and said, This matter, should we inform Wulong? Wulong is at a critical moment. Don't tell him for the time being, so as not to affect him, Shi Zhong said in a deep voice. Well, I understand. The next morning, Mom, we are leaving, Lin Feng said softly. Go. Ji Ruhua smiled gracefully. Here is some money. Mom, take it first. Lin Feng stuffed a pocket of change into his mother's hand and hugged her with a smile. Then he jumped into his sister's Volkswagen C7 and waved goodbye to his mother. In an instant, the magnetic suspension car sped away. Ruhua, Offing is so filial. That's right, my son. It's good enough that he doesn't ask for money every month. By the way, how much did Offing give? The neighbors all looked over curiously. A few silver coins. Ji Ruhua smiled gracefully and pulled the rope. In an instant, a golden light shone. The neighbors all stared with wide eyes and took a deep breath. Even Ji Ruhua herself was a little surprised. Then she showed a helpless and gratified smile. This child. Brother, how much did you give Mom? Lin Yu asked, rolling her eyes. 2 gold coins. Lin Feng smiled indifferently and did not hide it from his sister. You covered her mouth in surprise. No way, brother. How do you have so much money? That's 200 silver coins. Even if you eat hot and delicious food every day, it's enough for a whole year. You glutton. Lin Feng laughed and scolded. This younger sister of his could think of anything to eat. Brother, I want it too. Lin Yu pouted and said cutely. Here for you. Lin Feng took out a silver coin and pressed it in Yu hand. This month's allowance. Yu mumbled. It's enough for you to satisfy your daily cravings. Lin Feng rubbed his sister's little head and said softly, cultivate well in the academy and don't go out to play. I'll come and pick you up at the end of the month, understand? Yu nodded lightly. Don't worry, brother. Yu won't be a burden to you. Silly girl, don't let your imagination run wild. I'm not silly. Lin Feng was only at ease after sending his sister to the academy. No matter what, it was never wrong to be careful. There was no need to worry about safety in the academy. Looking at his sister's retreating figure waving nonstop at him, Lin Feng smiled and felt warm in his heart. How could his family be a burden? That was his protection. That was his motivation. That was his heart. It's time to return to the academy. Lin Feng pressed the crystal watch and jumped onto the magnetic hover car. Whoosh! It sped off at lightning speed. Chapter 54. Battle College. Lin Feng had just alighted when he saw a pretty figure waiting for him. Tao Jing, his only friend in Battle College. Why are you here? Lin Feng smiled and walked over. In the wilderness, he had been keeping in touch with Tao Jing. He had even mentioned it to her when he returned today. I am here to welcome you, big brother Lin, Tao Jing whispered with a blushing face. Let's go. Lin Feng didn't mind and smiled. Did anything happen in the college in the past half a month? Something big happened, big brother Lin. Shuijin swore in front of the whole class that he would compete with you. Tao Jing was slightly nervous. His mind expanse has exceeded 14%, and he is fused with AD1 magnesium heart. I heard that he has mastered the use of elemental power and is comparable to an intermediate genetic warrior. Shuijin? The image of a handsome young man with long golden hair appeared in Lin Feng's mind. However, he didn't seem to be familiar with him. He is also one of your suitors? Lin Feng looked at Tao Jing curiously. Tao Jing blushed and said angrily, No, big brother Lin. He likes Xiaoling. Because of you and Ling, there are rumors in the class, so? Tao Jing suddenly became incoherent, but Lin Feng still understood. So, you want to stand up for Xiaoling and prove that my victory over Ling is just a rumor. Lin Feng smiled. MHM, Tao Jing nodded. Shuijin also announced that as long as you see your serial number and inform him, you will be rewarded with 10 battle points. 10 battle points? Lin Feng smiled. He sure is generous. By the way, Tao Jing, do you have enough battle points? I'll give you 10 battle points. Zone T, Minter's dormitory. Come in. A lazy and gentle voice came from the room. The transparent light door opened, and Lin Feng entered. There was a faint fragrance in the room, and the decorations were elegant and warm. This was Minter Moon's residence. Lin Feng sat down on the sofa. Not long after, the bedroom door slowly opened. Yumeng walked in lazily with a glass of milk in her pajamas and slippers. Her hot figure was faintly discernible. I'm sorry to disturb you, Minter Yu. Lin Feng stood up, feeling a little embarrassed. Han Sun was used to not sleeping, but most Geno warriors did. After all, it was only early in the morning. It's fine. Have a seat. Yumeng smiled lazily. Her movements and voice were casual and charming. Her thin pajamas could not hide her perky breasts. The two of them sat down, a man and a woman. The air was filled with a faint fragrance. Lin Feng was slightly embarrassed. Tell me, why are you looking for me? Yumeng was very calm. She took a sip of milk and placed down the coffee table. Oh, Lin Feng came back to his senses. He took out a pouch of change and pushed it in front of Yumeng. Here are 80 silver coins. Minter Yu, thank you for paying for my medical expenses. As he said that, Lin Feng smiled. My sister is recovering well. There are no sequelae. Yumeng glanced at the pouch and did not refuse. She smiled lazily. That's good. Did you go to the wilderness? Lin Feng nodded. I made some small gains. You earned 80 silver coins in 20 days. Yumeng looked at Lin Feng with satisfaction. This is already comparable to the earning speed of an advanced genetic warrior. It seems that your strength has increased again? A little. Lin Feng smiled. Do you know about the school's selection competition in 2 months? Yu Ming asked. I've heard about it. Lin Feng nodded. On the way here, Tao Jing had mentioned to him that the school would hold a selection competition on the 1st of April every year. All warriors under the age of 18 would participate. New students would need the approval of their mentors before they could register. Not only would there be generous rewards, but the top 10 would also be qualified to represent the school and participate in the Rising Star competition. I've registered for you, Yu Ming said. Lin Feng was slightly startled. Why? You don't want to? Yu Ming raised her eyebrows. It's nothing. Lin Feng smiled. I understand, Mentor Yu. He did not want to participate, but he did not reject it. Since Mentor Yu had registered for him, there was no need for him to be independent and make Mentor Yu unhappy. After all, it was a small matter. If there's nothing else, I'll take my leave. Lin Feng stood up and bowed slightly. Lin Feng respected Mentor Yu Ming from the bottom of his heart. All right. Suddenly, Yu Ming seemed to remember something and smiled charmingly. I forgot to tell you. In order to completely defeat you, Ling is doing her best. I've never seen this girl like this before. Let me give you a kind reminder. Be careful. Lin Feng was shocked and felt a chill down his spine. I understand, Mentor Yu. Lin Feng shook his head and left with a bitter smile. Ling Lin Feng would never forget the girl in purple. Putting other factors aside, she was the strongest opponent he had ever faced. There were also some misunderstandings involved. I'll avoid her if I can. Anyway, if I don't accept the challenge, she can't do anything to me. Lin Feng walked among the crowd. In the morning, many students had already gone to various training rooms and arenas. Outside the dormitory area, people came and went. It was very lively. Lin Feng saw from afar and could not help but smile. This time, he would not get lost. In the morning crowd, there were 2 figures that were very eye-catching. There was Anne's symbol on each of the battle crystals in front of their chests. All the students who brushed past the 2 of them gave them sidelong glances with reverence. Area S. In the entire Zhan College, there were 2 branches and 6 grades. Area S only had 9 people. They represented the most elite group of people in the Zhan College. Sorry to trouble you, Senior. I need you to spar with me so early in the morning. The one who spoke was a young man about the same age as Lin Feng. He had delicate features, but his eyes exuded a bright light. Obviously, his temperament was very different from the other students. He was a junior Geno warrior. Sparring with you will also help me improve my strength. With a faint arrogance between his brows, Guoli smiled and said, Why? Do you feel threatened? A little. Jin Haochen is too strong, and Long Qin is not bad. Guoli smiled. I'm 18 years old this year. This is my last chance. If I can win the school's internal selection, I can get a lot of battle points and improve my strength in a short time. Otherwise, even if I participate in the Sunset City's Rising Star competition, I'm afraid. Well, what's wrong, Senior? He looked at Guoli. The latter was staring at the entrance of Area A. He did not know what he was looking at. Nothing. Guoli came back to his senses and frowned. Just now, he saw a very familiar figure. It was very similar to Lin Feng that his master was looking for, but this is the Geno warrior branch. It can't be him. Guoli judged instantly. After all, the figure was too similar, so he did not care too much. Guoli looked at Guoli. Just send me here. Junior, I have something to do at the Sunset Dojo. Okay, Senior. Take care. Guoli bowed and was very polite. Guoli nodded and then left. I don't know why Master is looking for me so early in the morning. Could it be that he found Lin Feng? Chapter 55. Area A, Dormitory number 102100. The first thing Lin Feng did after returning was to cultivate. So fast. My body has already digested most of the 2 bottles of elementary gene fluid I absorbed last night. Lin Feng sat cross-legged in the gene nourishment cabin. His body was like a bottomless pit that could not be filled. The 90 bottles of elementary gene fluid he bought this time By the end of the month, it would probably be used up. I'll cultivate for half a month first. My strength will increase faster in the early stages. When I return to the border of the ruined world, it should be much easier. Lin Feng calculated in his heart. After all, the consumption of 90 bottles of elementary gene fluid every month was not a small amount. He could only earn money while cultivating. When he reached the level of ancient warrior, his cultivation would not stagnate due to lack of money. I don't have time to cultivate the 9-Dragon Sutra in the wilderness. I'll continue with the second level of cultivation. Lin Feng was soon immersed in it. Big news, big news. Lin Feng accepted Shui Jin's challenge. Shui Jin said it himself. The time of the duel is at 2 in the afternoon. Is this for real? When did Lin Feng come out? On my 10 battle points. Which bastard took them away? The news spread like wildfire. After waiting for 20 whole days, Shui Jin lost all his face and was even rejected by the person he liked. He finally found an outlet to vent his pent-up anger. In the cultivation room, Shui Jin roared like a golden-haired lion king. "Ha! Lin Feng, you're finally willing to appear. See how I'll take care of you." Shui Jin's arrogance was astonishing. Compared to 20 days ago, his strength was like a completely different person. Shui Jin was full of confidence. The current him was comparable to an intermediate genetic warrior. Area A, dormitory number 102002. The bathroom door opened. Xia Ling, who had just finished her morning cultivation, combed her hair, which was still a little wet, without any makeup. She was like a lotus flower that had just emerged from the water, beautiful beyond compare. Sitting in front of the dining table, a cup of soy milk and bread was her daily breakfast. Xia Ling turned on the crystal watch and was instantly attracted by a message. You big pervert." Xia Ling wrinkled her nose and pouted. 2 in the afternoon? Let's see how you lose. Lin Feng? Shui Jin? Interesting. Inside the super alloy training room in Area S, Long Qinran had a faint smile on her face. She waved the electric scythe twin truncheons in her hands again. The truncheons suddenly lengthened and suddenly shortened, emitting a shocking amount of electric snake energy. They converged into an airtight electric net. Shui Jin. He underestimates Lin Feng too much. Yu Meng smiled faintly. High alloy training room. Phew. Accompanied by Lin Feng's long, drawn-out breaths, a dense natural energy swirled around him, deeply enveloping Lin Feng. The 2 gigantic dragons were lively, letting out dragon roars from time to time. Lin Feng's absorption of the energy of heaven and earth was extremely fast, and in a short 6 hours of cultivation, he had more than doubled his previous rate. It's not just multitasking. Compared to the first level, the second level is a qualitative improvement. The improvement of the mind expanse, the evolution of the body, the broadening of the meridians, and the ability to withstand it are all increasing. Compared to the first level, the second level of the 9-Dragon Sutra has a clearer and more direct utilization of the meridians. It's more in line with the current meridians. The more he cultivated, the more profound he felt. The circulation of the energy of heaven and earth in the meridians was like an invisible heavenly map with mystical power. Although he didn't understand it, it didn't hinder his cultivation. It was just like how one didn't need to understand the structure of a maglev car if one knew how to drive one. Opening his eyes, Lin Feng took a deep breath. He felt refreshed, and his body was in excellent condition. The absorption of the energy of heaven and earth has at least doubled. Lin Feng nodded in satisfaction. Moreover, there's still a lot of room for improvement. He hadn't really mastered it yet. In the 6 hours of cultivation, he had a deeper understanding of the second level of the 9-Dragon Sutra. He had a deeper understanding than the first time. It's almost 2. Lin Feng glanced at his crystal watch and smiled. It was time to enter the world of battles. Challenge? Lin Feng had never been afraid. It could even be said that Lin Feng liked challenges the most, and challenges that exceeded his strength. The word battle appeared before his eyes. Welcome to the world of battles. Number 102100, student Lin Feng. A pleasant female voice sounded. This time, there was no more detailed introduction. Lin Feng had a general understanding of the rules of the world of battles. He immediately said, "Personal information." The scene suddenly changed, and Lin Feng looked over. Main account, 102,100 bound. War star level, 0 plus. Battle points, 21. There was no change. The only difference was that his battle points had increased from the original 5 to 21. And behind his war star level, there was a bright plus sign. Lin Feng knew that this meant that his war star level could be raised to level 1 at the cost of 10 battle points. That's not right. Lin Feng was surprised. New students were given 5 battle points. Every week, their war star level would automatically supplement the basic battle points. The basic battle points for level 0 should be 2 points. 3 weeks is 6 points. My battle points should be 11 points. Why would there be an extra 10 points for no reason? Lin Feng pondered. His heart jumped, and he quickly looked at the battle points information. It really is her. Lin Feng smiled. Just a few hours ago, number 102005 had given him 10 battle points. This number belonged to Tao Jing. Clearly, she had given him the 10 battle points that Xue Jin had given her. No work, no reward. Lin Feng immediately transferred the 10 battle points back to him, but failed. Lin Feng smiled helplessly. Tao Jing had set up a system that refused to give battle points. Very smart. Oh well. Battlefield. As Lin Feng softly called out, the scene quickly changed. It was a huge battlefield filled with killing intent. Many figures, whether wearing elemental armor or Geno armor, appeared in front of him, forming dense miniatures. On the far right, a trapezoid of numbers appeared. There were about 300 people. Last time, there were only 200 people, Lin Feng thought. He did not know that some of them were attracted by his battle with Xue Jin. In the battlefield, one could watch any battle. Xue Jin, serial number 102003. Lin Feng filtered through the information and arranged it according to the serial number. Very quickly, he found Xue Jin's serial number and name. Above him, serial number 102002, Xiaoling was there. Lin Feng's eyes flashed. Thinking of teacher Chen Yu's words, he could not help but smile bitterly. Suddenly, a light flashed, and new number appeared above Xia Ling Long Qin, 102001, level 4 war star. Long Qin. Lin Feng's heart skipped a beat. A lonely and cold figure appeared in his mind. He was the only super genius who had entered Area S as a newcomer. With the strength of a level 4 war star, he looked down on all students of the same level, including Xia Ling, who was a level 3 war star. Xue Jin, level 2 war star. Xue Jin defeat him. Xia Ling was dressed in purple, but her gaze was complicated. Seeing Lin Feng's serial number appear, Xia Ling looked up at war star level 0 and frowned. Does this big pervert only care about flirting every day? Humph, how boring. In the teacher's dormitory in Area T, Yumeng had also entered the battlefield and was waiting calmly. Her image in World of Battle was a youth who was exactly the same height as her. She was wearing light yellow Geno armor. Her originally slim and hot figure looked a little thin when compared to a man. Number 098222. Yumeng had an interesting name, Lemon. However, she was a level 4 war star. This was the result of her hiding her strength and not increasing it. One had to know that Yumeng was one of the 3 high-level teachers of Battle College. In other words, her strength level was high-level Geno Battle General. In fact, other than Yumeng, many teachers, including the technical staff of World of Battle, like Lan Yin, had independent secondary accounts in World of Battle. In any case, as long as they did not bind their battle crystals, no one would know each other's identity online. As long as they had fun. It's not 2 o'clock yet. Yumeng wanted to know how strong Lin Feng was now. Unlike the other specially recruited students, Lin Feng could be said to have been discovered by Yumeng, so she paid special attention to him. Suddenly, a message appeared, and Yumeng's eyes lit up. Xue Jin had challenged Lin Feng. Chapter 56. Wow, it's starting. It can't be. 32 battle points. There's no helping it. Lin Feng's war star rank is 0. Betting against someone of a higher rank will double the points, and 2 ranks means 4 times the points. But 8 battle points is probably a rather large burden for Lin Feng. The stakes are so high. Xue Jin is really going all out. Who told Lin Feng to make Xue Jin lose face? Besides, in terms of strength, Xue Jin truly has the upper hand. I hear that Lin Feng only just crossed the threshold not too long ago. Look, Lin Feng rejected. Rejected. The appearance of this message was like a stone that stirred up 1,000 ripples. It can't be, right? This Lin Feng is too cowardly. Enough with your sarcasm. If you weren't confident, would you have accepted? For Lin Feng, 8 battle points might be all he has. There was a flurry of heated discussion. Without realizing it, the number of people in the arena had exceeded 300. A large portion of them were students of the 102nd class, including those from the ancient martial department. In the ancient martial arts branch, Lin Feng's name was much more famous than Xue Jin's. What a coward! Xue Jin silently cursed. Xue Jin was also taken aback by the rejection message. Although he could not see the battle points on the arena, he could see the battle records. Lin Feng had not fought a single battle, so logically speaking, he should have 11 battle points. In the world of combat, one needed to raise their war star rank, so Xue Jin had estimated that Lin Feng's battle points should be between 8 and 11. He had not expected Lin Feng to so bluntly refuse. At least 6 points, right? Xue Jin hesitated for a moment. Just as he was about to enter the wager of 24 battle points, war star rank 0, serial number 102100, Lin Feng challenges you. The wager is 21 battle points. Do you accept? At the top, all the information on Lin Feng was displayed. But this time, Xue Jin was stunned, instantly petrified. 21 battle points? In other words, if he accepted Lin Feng's challenge, he would have to pay a price of 84 battle points. Xue Jin's eyes were about to spit fire, and his heart was beating wildly. Over the past month, he had repeatedly challenged those of a higher rank and spent 30 battle points to reach level 2 battle star. In addition to the basic battle points that had just been given out, he only had 40 battle points. Lin Feng's gamble was simply asking for his life. 84 battle points, including the battle points from Rising Stars. He would have to pay for it. Lin Feng, good job. Xue Jin gritted his teeth. Actually, Lin Feng didn't know the rules of the battle point betting at all. It was also Xue Jin's own greed. If he had casually placed the lowest bet, Lin Feng would have accepted it. At this time, the students of the class of 102 who were watching this challenge in the battle arena had already gone crazy. 84 battle points was not a big bet, but for a newcomer, it was quite shocking. Amazing. You've turned the tables. Isn't Lin Feng a little too confident? Xue Jin is a level 2 battle star after all. Who cares? This is exciting. Insatiably greedy pervert. Xiao Ling snorted. To her, 84 battle points were nothing. Just to level up from level 2 battle star to level 3, she would need 100 battle points. This Lin Feng is really bad. Yuming couldn't help but laugh. He dug a trap for Xue Jin. He had no choice but to jump. Just as everyone was exclaiming in amazement, ding, a message immediately appeared, and a new space instantly appeared in the battle arena. Xue Jin accepted the challenge. Lin Feng was in the wrong when it came to Xiaoling. Moreover, he didn't want to be calculative with a girl to prevent the misunderstanding from getting deeper. As for Xue Jin, Lin Feng didn't have much personal feelings. Just like Wang Xiaoming, who wanted a duel with him because he was pursuing Tao Jing. If he wanted a challenge, Lin Feng would naturally accept. Being high profile wasn't a good thing, but being too low-key was also meaningless. In life, one naturally had to face one challenge after another. Lin Feng was never afraid of this. Whoosh! The scene in front of him suddenly changed. The huge battle arena appeared in front of him. Stepping on the alloy block above, the heavy texture brought with it a slight chill. It was extremely realistic. Lin Feng's laser blade appeared in his hand. He looked at Xue Jin, who was not far away, and his face was filled with battle intent. He was very calm. It felt as if he had returned to the time of the entrance examination. Battle arena. No way. Lin Feng isn't even wearing his Geno armor. Not only that, but look at his bare feet. An E9 laser blade. Why didn't he spend one battle point to buy an E6 laser blade? Everyone was puzzled. Compared to Xue Jin's full armor, Lin Feng felt as if he had just finished cultivating. In fact, that was indeed the case. D1, Magnesium Heart. On the other side, the moment Xue Jin appeared in the battle arena, he had already unleashed his strongest combat power. His genetic energy turned into magnesium power and surged out. Unlike Lin Feng, Xue Jin had experienced hundreds of battles in the past month and was very clear about the entire process. The one who made the first move would naturally have the advantage. Magnesium Beam. In an instant, Xue Jin opened his palms. What Lin Feng did was none of his business. Entering the battle arena, Xue Jin only had one goal: defeat his opponent ruthlessly. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. 5 extremely condensed white beams of light shot out of the thin tube above the glove like bullets. Almost at the same time, Xue Jin's Geno combat boots shone with a strong white light. The light core element's magnesium heart increased his speed at a shocking rate. Attack! It was as fast as lightning. Xue Jin's brain field hasn't reached 15% yet, right? How powerful! He has already completely grasped the use of elemental power and is quite proficient in it. Among the mid-tier genetic warriors, young Master Xue is considered above average. Oh, Yu Meng's eyes lit up. Xue Jin has improved quite a bit in the past month. However, Lin Feng, is he confident or conceited? This big pervert is so poor that he can't even afford a D-class laser knife? Xiao Ling frowned. Tao Jing bit her cherry lips and crossed her hands. Her palms were sweaty. Do your best, Brother Lin. Everyone's gaze was focused on him. At this moment, the atmosphere in the battle arena had changed. Ta! Ta! Lin Feng's footwork was very strange. He moved left and right at the same time. With a simple step, he dodged the 5 incoming magnesium beams by a hair's breadth. The white beams shot through Lin Feng's afterimage. The crowd was so shocked that they broke out in cold sweat. Oomph! Xue Jin snorted. Just as Lin Feng dodged, 5 magnesium beams shot out from his right hand from the thin tube above the gloves again. The attack was hidden and tricky. It was like a chain of bullets. However, too slow. Lin Feng only took a small sidestep and tilted his body, easily dodging the 5 magnesium beams. Compared to the elite snow deer's magnesium beams, Xue Jin's attack was much weaker in terms of power and speed. He didn't use his full speed. For Lin Feng, Xue Jin's strength was only comparable to an advanced beast soldier in the wilderness. If it had been 20 days ago, this might have been a tough battle. But now, with the strength of a Geno warrior, Lin Feng was 100% confident that he could kill Xue Jin. Kill Xue Jin. Whoosh! Whoosh! Lin Feng suddenly sped up, leaving many afterimages. Not only were the Geno warrior students stunned, but the ancient warrior students also widened their eyes. What kind of movement was this? Sometimes fast and sometimes slow, like flowing clouds and flowing water, but also like lightning. Clang! Lin Feng's laser blade was bright, and the genetic energy was gathered to the extreme. Compared to the control of the energy of heaven and earth, Lin Feng found that the control of ordinary genetic energy was rough and simple. Without the elemental heart, it was indeed much worse. Damn it! In a short time, Xue Jin had been approached. Whoosh! In an instant, the gloves flashed with extreme light. The neo-martial art energy gathered above the gloves. Along with Xue Jin's shout, the magnesium power instantly erupted. The brilliant light not only increased the power of the fist, but also directly affected the opponent with the strong light. Long-range attack, close combat, Xue Jin was very well-rounded. Regardless of battle intent or strength, Xue Jin was indeed comparable to an intermediate genetic warrior. However, this time, his opponent was very different from before. Bang! Xue Jin's majestic aura was instantly suppressed. Huh! It was a dazzling light, like a shooting star, as if streaking across the sky. An incomparably huge light blade appeared in front of Xue Jin, slashing across the sky. An unstoppable attack. The blade aura was unstoppable, far exceeding Xue Jin's strength. No! Xue Jin opened his eyes wide in shock. His fist strength, the powerful magnesium power, in front of that astonishing blade aura, was like an ant facing a mountain. They were simply not on the same level. Chi! The blade aura streaked across like lightning, falling like a shooting star. Meteor fall. Lin Feng's voice was like the sound of a bell. The white light covered the sky and covered the earth, enveloping the combat space. It was reflected in the eyes of every spectating student, making their hearts suffocate. Clang! The combat field shook violently. Xue Jin's figure was instantly drowned. Crushing defeat. Chapter 57. The battle martial space was in an uproar. Apart from Yu Meng and Tao Jing, no one believed that Lin Feng would win. They did not expect that Lin Feng would win so cleanly. One slash, insta-killing Xue Jin. It was done with ease, moving at will and controlling at will. What a powerful saber technique. He improved again. Yu Meng sighed. Even I might not be able to have such control. I did not expect that Xue Jin could not even force Lin Feng to use his elemental power in this battle. My idol, so powerful. Lin Feng's slash is probably comparable to a high-level genetic warrior's, right? This Xue Jin is too weak. He is usually very arrogant, yet he was defeated by Lin Feng barefoot and in plain clothes. What a cowardly loss. Interesting. Long Qin smiled indifferently. Unlike the other students who had not seen the entire battle clearly and were watching the replay, Long Qin's figure flashed and immediately left the arena. It was not that Xue Jin was weak. Rather, Lin Feng was too strong. However, in Long Qin's opinion, the current Lin Feng was still not enough to be his opponent. Xiaoling left the battle martial space. Her beautiful eyes flickered, and she issued a challenge to Lin Feng almost instantly. This big pervert actually won. Damn it, 160 battle points. Oh, Lin Feng sneered. Just as he left the battle martial space, another challenge message appeared. Battlestar Level 3, serial number 102002, Xiaoling challenges you. It's her. Lin Feng smiled bitterly and rejected without hesitation. He left the arena directly. Big pervert, you actually rejected me again. Xiaoling was so angry that her cheeks puffed up as she complained. She wanted to issue another challenge, but Lin Feng's figure was nowhere to be seen in the arena. Xiaoling clenched her teeth as she recalled Lin Feng's extremely humiliating kick in the world of battles. Her cheeks flushed red and hot. Scoundrel, I don't believe that you can keep hiding. 2 months later, we will meet sooner or later. At that time, I will definitely take revenge. The battlefield was in an uproar. Most of the students didn't actually see what had happened. Xue Jin had already lost. They were all watching the replay over and over again, including Xue Jin himself. It was like a dream. Xue Jin didn't even know how he lost. The entire battle had only lasted for a few seconds, and he had already lost. Once, twice, thrice. The more Xue Jin watched the replay, the paler his face became. He was so angry that his face turned white. He was actually beaten to a pulp by Lin Feng. What a great humiliation. Withdraw. Xue Jin gritted his teeth and roared. He no longer wanted to see the news from the battle arena. He had lost all face, especially in front of Xiaoling. When he thought about how Xiaoling had personally witnessed him being insta-killed by Lin Feng, Xue Jin felt his vision turn dark and his heart burned with jealousy. Not only that, opening his personal information, Xue Jin was shocked to find that his war star rank had dropped from level 2 to 0, and the worst was his war points. It turned into a bright red -4. Faint. Xue Jin's eyes rolled back, and he almost fainted. 105 war points. Just as he was about to raise his war star rank, Lin Feng was suddenly stunned. He looked at the war points with some confusion and frowned. Shouldn't it be 42 war points? There was so much more. Lin Feng quickly opened the war points record and found that 84 war points had entered his account. Confused, Lin Feng returned to the main space. Very quickly, with the clear explanation of the female voice, he had a sudden realization. To challenge someone of a higher rank, you have to pay multiple bets. That's fair. Lin Feng nodded. After all, most level 1 war stars were stronger than level 0, and level 3 war stars were stronger than level 2. It was a kind of balance. 84 war points. Level 2 war star to level 3 is only 100 war points. He earned quite a lot. Lin Feng couldn't help but sigh for Xuejin. Then Lin Feng smiled. C7 Geno armor and Geno battle boots. For a young master like him, these war points are nothing. He had seen the exchange space. 1 war point was worth about 1 to 3 silver coins. 84 war points was only 3 gold coins in terms of money. It couldn't even buy the soul of a C7 Geno battle boot. Just treat it as sponsoring the poor, Lin Feng said with a smile. He spent 10 war points to raise his war star rank to level 1. Lin Feng hesitated for a moment and didn't continue to raise his war star rank. Instead, he entered the personal data interface. Sure enough, there were 2 more options, sub-account and sub-account. This is it. Lin Feng was tempted. He pressed sub-account to create. Opening a sub-account requires 10 war points. A notification appeared. Lin Feng touched the light button in front of him. Whoosh! The scene in front of him changed. He came to an independent space, and a 3-dimensional human model appeared in front of him. Body shape and gender are default. It is not recommended to change. Please set your appearance. A pleasant female voice sounded in his ears. Lin Feng nodded. The change in body shape might seem small, but it had a huge impact. A difference of 10 centimeters in height, 5 centimeters in arm length, 3 centimeters in leg length, and so on would make a huge difference in combat experience. Lin Feng didn't want to change his body shape. He just wanted to change his appearance so that no one could recognize him. A 3-dimensional model appeared in front of him. Lin Feng randomly chose a resolute face and short hair. It looked like his big brother, Lin Zhan. In Lin Feng's heart, this was a face that was engraved in his bones. Therefore, when he was choosing the model, he unconsciously chose this type. There is an 80% resemblance. Lin Feng smiled. Appearance setting completed. Please name. The pleasant female voice sounded again. Lin Feng thought for a moment. Battle Seeker. His fingers instantly sketched. He didn't think too much. In the battle arena, such a name was rare, but he had seen many of them. Of course, most students used main accounts. Their identity information was bound to their real names. Battle Seeker. In Lin Feng's heart, this was what he wanted to do the most. He wanted to find Big Brother Lin Zhan. However, he didn't have enough strength now. There was another meaning behind this, and it was also the reason why Lin Feng set up this secondary account. It was to Battle Seeker. Damn it, Lin Feng, I will definitely take revenge. Just you wait. Xuejin was also a tough nut to crack. After holding it in for a full day and night, Xuejin finally calmed down. He bought 20 battle points at high price. This was already the maximum gift he could give out every month. After deducting the 4 battle points he owed, Xuejin, who still had 16 battle points in his account, was full of ambition. He entered the battle arena again. Xuejin's gaze swept across the number of battle star level 2. He hesitated for a moment before his gaze landed on the number of battle star level 1. He might not win against battle star level 2. Furthermore, no one would accept his challenge. 16 battle points. Xuejin directly issued a challenge. He was now battle star level 0. If he won against battle star level 1, he would directly receive double the battle points reward. With his strength, wouldn't a mere battle star level 1 opponent be easily defeated? Rejected. Rejected again. I don't believe it. Xuejin was not discouraged. He tried one by one. Finally, after failing a total of 33 times. Ha! Xuejin laughed heartily. His frustration was swept away. Finally, an idiot accepted. He really thinks I'm a battle star level 0 noob. Xuejin's eyes lit up, and he rubbed his fists. Consider yourself unlucky. In an instant, a new battle arena was formed. Xuejin immediately entered. He was anxious and excited. Another ray of light followed. Under Shui Jin's name in the battle arena, a strange name was clearly reflected. Battle Seeker, serial number 102255. Chapter 58. Sun Jian? What a terrible name. Look at my power. A level. One more star student's eyes lit up as he issued a challenge. Battle point bet, 10 points. F*CK, the 102nd batch of ancient warriors, is really evil. They actually pretended to be newcomers. Damn it, I also challenged that Sun Jian just now. I didn't even get to see his face before I was instantly defeated. The students of the 101st batch were furious. They had lost to their junior, and they had been tricked. Where they put their face? F*CK, this Sun Jian has actually advanced a level. 2 War Star, go kill him. The arena was filled with passion. Fighting was the goal. This was the atmosphere of the Battle Academy. Hey, I haven't seen young Master Shui for many days. I heard that he was so angry that he vomited blood. Really? Isn't it just losing to Lin Feng? What's the big deal? The 102nd batch of Jin warriors were discussing animatedly. Wang Xiaoming, I heard that you lost to the ancient warrior branch yesterday. The young man named He Sun came over. Wang Xiaoming's face twitched when he heard that. He forced a smile and said, yes, I don't know which specially recruited student's secondary account is called Sun Jian. Sun Jian? What a name. Everyone was discussing, but they had never heard of this name. You've never heard of it? Wang Xiaoming smiled bitterly and shook his head. This Sun Jian just appeared a few days ago. He's extremely strong. He should be one of the 3 strongest specially recruited students in the ancient warrior branch. In just a few days, he has already won 60 and lost 0. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. F*CK, 60 wins and 0 losses. How many battle points did he earn? Please, it's normal. Didn't Boss Long Qin also get 75 consecutive victories? How can their ancient warrior branch compare to Boss Long? Our Boss Long is the only super genius who entered District S as a newcomer. Besides, I'm afraid this Sun Jian is picking those weaker than him. His battle results are too exaggerated. Sun Jian, this was definitely the most talkative name in the arena. He had not appeared for long, and each battle had never lasted more than 30 seconds. He maintained an astonishing record of all victories, catching up to the super genius Long Qin's 75 victories. Most importantly, his serial number started with 102, which meant that he was a newcomer. Look, Sun Jian has appeared again. 69 wins? That's too fast. I think it's because the ancient martialists don't want to be suppressed by the Geno warriors. So, they want to break Boss Long Qin's record. So what if it is broken? That's right. Boss Long is a level 4 battle star, and this Sun Jian is only a level 2 battle star. How could he fight Boss Long? No way, level 3? Look, this guy is challenging again. Victory! Victory! Victory after victory! Amidst the crowd's astonishment, Sun Jian continued to issue challenges. As if to prove his strength, all of Sun Jian's opponents were level 3 battle stars without exception. This was a direct slap to the faces of those watering holes. In less than an hour, the level 3 experts of the Civil War Star had been challenged once, and the result was seeking battle, complete victory, 77 wins. Breaking Long Qin's record of 75 victories caused an uproar in the entire arena. Area A, Dormitory 102100. Phew. Walking out of the arena, Lin Feng stretched. Although the continuous battles were not real battles, he was still mentally exhausted, especially when facing opponents who were not weak. It was not that he did not want to continue fighting, but he had already challenged all the level 3 battle stars in the arena. Fighting against a level 2 battle star? There was no need for that. Level 3 battle star. To reach level 4 battle star, I need 300 battle points. Lin Feng shook his head with a bitter smile. It was not an ordinary amount. He opened the fridge and took out some food. Lin Feng immediately placed it in the automatic cooking device and pressed a button. The device instantly started to turn. A level 3 battle star can already buy yellow rank Hearts Sutras and martial arts. By now, or wait until level 4 battle star. Oh, Lin Feng was hesitant. Heart sutras were very important to every ancient martial artist. In the battle with a level 3 battle star, Lin Feng deeply experienced the hindrance of heart sutras. It was the feeling of having power, but nowhere to use it. Only by using spirit energy to make up for it could he not be at a disadvantage. If he relied on the energy of heaven and earth, it would not be easy for him to win even one match. If I buy it now, the highest I can buy is a level 7 yellow rank heart sutra. When I reach level 4 battle star, I can buy a level 4 yellow rank heart sutra. However, Lin Feng hesitated. A level 7 yellow rank heart sutra was priced at 300 battle points. A level 4 yellow rank heart sutra was priced at 1,000 battle points. The price was also very different. No matter what, I'll get 300 battle points first. Lin Feng thought to himself. At this moment, the automatic cooking device let out a ding sound, and a rich fragrance immediately assailed his nose. Lin Feng smiled, took out his dinner, and walked to the table. The treatment in Area A was naturally good. 80 wins, 83 wins, 88 wins. Sun Jian's shocking battle results were still increasing. The ancient warrior branch was already in an uproar. From the beginning of the entrance examination, they had been suppressed by the genetic warrior branch. They could finally hold their heads high. In the martial arts arena, the two major branches quarreled until their saliva flew everywhere. This time, the ancient martial arts branch finally straightened their backs. Who said that there were no strong ancient warriors in this batch? Long Qin only has 75 wins, and our boss Sun Jian has already won 88. What's the use of winning streaks? The battle star level is the standard of strength. Sun Jian is only level 3 now, and boss Long Qin is level 4. TSK, boss Sun Jian wants to reach level 4 in a matter of minutes. If you have the ability, get Long Qin to come out. Let's fight one-on-one and see who's stronger. Let's fight. Who's afraid of who? There was a heated argument. At this moment, Lin Feng had already left the arena. 330 battle points. That's enough for now. Lin Feng entered his personal information, hesitated for a moment, and then entered the exchange space. It was very different from the Battlestar Level 0. The Battlestar Level 3 authority was much higher than before. More than 90% of the purchase areas could be purchased. Rainbow Mantra, Yellow Tier, Level 9 Mantra, 100 battle points. Charming Dance Mantra Part 1, Yellow Tier, Level 9 Mantra, 200 battle points. Limitless Sea of Chi Level 1, Yellow Tier Level 8 Mantra, 300 battle points. Wild Python Bite, Yellow Tier Level 7 Mantra, 360 battle points. Looking further up, they all had more than 1,000 battle points, and he could not compare. Moreover, his Battlestar level was not high enough. They're both Yellow Tier Level 9 mantras, so why is Charming Dance Mantra Part 1 so expensive? Lin Feng was curious, and he opened the detailed introduction. Mantras above the yellow tier were considered true mantras, and most of them had several levels. However, Lin Feng was curious why mantras of the same tier had different prices. For example, the most expensive yellow tier level 7 mantra he had seen, Blood Battle Mantra Part 1, required 600 battle points. So it complements the charming dance steps. Lin Feng quickly understood. Different mantras combined with different mantras would have different power. For example, the flowing cloud art he cultivated was like flowing water. It was more suitable for movement techniques, but it was barely satisfactory when used with saber techniques. Especially the tiger slaying saber technique, which had a violent and fierce saber intent, it was even more incompatible. However, the Nine Dragons mantra was different. The Nine Dragons mantra combined with the tiger slaying saber technique was even more powerful than the 3 moves of Meteor. I'll choose one. Lin Feng returned to the exchange interface and carefully browsed through the mantras. Indeed, he could reach Battlestar Level 4, but a Battlestar Level 4 mantra could easily earn more than 1,000 battle points. It would not be easy to earn that much. With his strength, if he wanted to challenge a Battlestar Level 4 expert without using the Nine Dragons mantra, it would be very difficult. What's so difficult about earning back these 300 battle points when my strength increases? Lin Feng smiled. A bird in the hand was better than 100 birds in the bush. Chapter 59. Which one should he choose? After careful consideration, Lin Feng chose the last three. Charm Dance Mantra First Part. Yellow Tier 9th Grade Mantra. 200 battle points. Limitless Sea of Chi Level 1. Yellow Tier 8th Grade Mantra. 300 battle points. Blood Battle Mantra First Part. Yellow Tier 7th Grade Mantra. 600 battle points. Compared to the single-level mantras or mantras that only reached Yellow Tier 7th grade, Lin Feng preferred mantras that could be further improved. For example, the difference between the first and second levels of a 9 Dragons mantra was more than just one level. The Charm Dance mantra focuses on the coordination with the Charm Dance steps. I'm already very familiar with the Charm Dance steps, but Lin Feng hesitated for a moment before rejecting it. Not because of anything else, but because the Charm Dance steps' upper, middle, and lower levels were all practiced to the extreme, but they could only barely reach Yellow Tier 9th grade. Relatively speaking, the Charm Dance steps were more suitable for females. Limitless Sea of Chi is very similar to Blood Battle Mantra. Not only do the two have matching movement skills, but they also have matching saber skills. In comparison, Blood Battle Arts has better prospects. Lin Feng nodded. Limitless Sea of Chi had 4 levels. The 4th level was Mystic Tier 8th grade and could only be purchased by level 7 starfighters. As for Blood Battle Mantra First Part, it was Yellow Tier 7th grade, the middle part was Yellow Tier 1st grade, and the upper part was Mystic Tier 4th grade. Of all the mantras available in the exchange space, Blood Battle Mantra was the best mantra. But unfortunately, you got what you paid for. Just Blood Battle Mantra First Part required 600 battle points. The movement techniques and saber techniques that came with it were all more expensive than Limitless Sea of Chi. In short, he could not afford it. There's no need for that. Lin Feng had already made up his mind. Blood Battle Mantra's introduction was a firm and fierce mantra. It had a strong explosive power and was very powerful. In fact, it was the same type as the 9 Dragons mantra. Thus, Lin Feng was more interested in Limitless Sea of Chi. It did not have any strong points, but at the same time, it did not have any weak points. Limitless Sea of Chi was a very balanced mantra. Most importantly, it was affordable. Every starfighter would have matching movement techniques and saber techniques for sale. Level by level, he cultivated step by step. In this aspect, the Boundless Sea of Chi was much better than the Blood Battle art. The Blood Battle Mantra's 10 bloody battle styles required one to be a level 4 battle star and 1,000 battle points. As for the Limitless Sea of Chi movement techniques, Small Fish Swim Part 1, 7 Spinning / Part 1, and War Star Level 3, they were already available for sale. This is it. Lin Feng pressed the purchase button. The first level of Boundless Sea of Chi. Lin Feng sat cross-legged in the nourishment cabin and closed his eyes. He had already memorized the incantation and imprinted it firmly in his mind. Xiao Chun felt as though he was in the middle of an ocean. The surging natural energy whizzed over, following the instructions of his heart mantra. Streams of natural energy gathered into a river, flowing smoothly into his dantian in an instant. Release. Lin Feng instantly felt a surge of energy in his body. The energy of heaven and earth spread from his dantian to his limbs and 5 meridians. His entire body felt refreshed. You succeeded? Lin Feng was a little surprised. Isn't it recorded in the heart mantra 1 or 2 days at least, and half a month at most? Maybe it's referring to proficiency in using it. Without thinking too much, Lin Feng quickly immersed himself in it again. It was a good start, soaking in the gene fluid and absorbing the natural energy. While practicing saber techniques, practicing movement techniques, and entering the world of battles to hone his combat skills, he also earned some extra money. He had used his battle points to buy the basic Geno fluid. The 90 bottles of basic Geno fluid he had bought at the Elemental Mall had been mostly consumed. This was also the reason why Lin Feng had chosen the Limitless Sea of Aura Level 1. Battle points were also money. He could use battle points to buy gene fluids. Ordinary gene fluids were worth 3 battle points, while basic gene fluids were worth 10 battle points. There was also a 20% discount for a box of 50 bottles. Lin Feng's life in the academy was simple and fulfilling. Every day, he was steadily improving. With the increase of the mind expanse, the capacity of his body, the strength of his cells, and so on were all increasing. This included the spiritual energy seeping out of the earth's soul. It was like a hammer constantly pounding Lin Feng, increasing his strength in all aspects. In just half a month, Lin Feng could clearly feel the changes in his body. My physical index should have reached the level of advanced ancient warrior excellent. Lin Feng smiled. This speed of improvement that was visible to the naked eye made him very satisfied. He could clearly feel the improvement of the mind expanse. It was as if the potential in his body was being dug out bit by bit. He could see more clearly, hear further, react faster, and comprehend clearer. I have already mastered the first level of Boundless Sea of Qi and the first chapter of Small Fish Swim. It's about time to rise to level 4 Battlestar and accept new challenges. Lin Feng smiled. During this period of time, the improvement was very obvious. Half a month ago, he had to use spiritual energy to fight against a level 3 Battlestar, and it wasn't easy to win. But now he could easily defeat a level 3 Battlestar with just heaven and earth energy. Even though the first level of Boundless Sea of Qi was still very far from the 9-Dragon scripture. No wonder Mom didn't want me to expose myself. Lin Feng was deep in thought. This 9-Dragon scripture is really powerful. The first level is far beyond yellow rank grade 8, and the second level is even harder to estimate. I'm afraid that even the best blood battle art in the Battle College will pale in comparison. In the battle arena. Seeker is here. This guy finally came out again. Damn it, I want to take revenge for the last time. Let me go first. I almost won against him a few days ago. There were many level 3 battle stars, especially the class of 097 that was about to graduate. Half of them were level 3 battle stars. In this half a month, Lin Feng wasn't greedy. He earned at least 10 battle points, and at most 20 to 30 battle points. Rather than saying that he was earning battle points, it was more accurate to say that he was honing himself in battle. However, he couldn't take it. Now, Seeker Sun's battle record was already a shocking 157 wins and 0 losses. In this half a month, the ancient warrior branch had been looking for him like crazy. Who didn't want to know Seeker Sun's true identity? However, it was still a mystery. In the battle arena, the evaluation of Seeker Sun was also polarized. The ancient warrior branch was naturally proud of him, while the genetic warrior branch was full of disdain. This was because Seeker Sun never accepted the challenge of a level 4 Battlestar. However, this time, rejected all of them. Under the stunned gazes of the students, Seeker Sun's Battlestar level changed to level 4. This was quite a big breakthrough. This meant that Seeker Sun already had the strength of a beginner battle general. Look, Seeker Sun has issued a challenge. His opponent is a senior from the class of 97, a level 4 Battlestar, a beginner ancient warrior Hong Dao. It can't be, right? The students of the genetic warrior branch were instantly speechless. Seeker Sun didn't dare to challenge a level 4 Battlestar. After half a month of silence, after fighting on a small scale, Seeker Sun finally erupted. Fights between level 4 Battlestars were rather rare in the arena. Every level 4 Battlestar student knew each other very well, and those who were on good terms with each other were more willing to spar in real life, just like Guo Li and Gu Yi. After all, the arena was completely open to the public. The battle arena was not only a duel arena, but also a place for ordinary students to learn. 3 battles, 3 victories. Seeker Sun's strength once again stunned everyone. Those students who said that Seeker Sun was only a level 3 Battlestar were all red in the face, unable to say anything. If this was called luck, then what was strength? Zone A, Dorm 102100. A level 4 Battlestar is indeed different. Lin Feng exited the battle arena, satisfied. He had gained a lot. A level 4 Battlestar was indeed much stronger than a level 3 Battlestar. The pressure was immense. In all 3 battles, he had used Spirit Chi. His gaze landed on his battle points. Together with the bonus from the basic battle points, he now had more than 500 points. I can finally buy the second chapter of the 7 Spinning Slash. Lin Feng immediately entered the exchange space. He had comprehended the first 2 moves of the first chapter of the 7 Spinning Slash, Evil Dragon Bind and Flying Fish Slash, for a long time, but he still could not get the hang of it. He could only hope that he could feel more about the second chapter and comprehend the saber intent of the 7 Spinning Slash.